Welcome back to Lowell Park, and the Cotuit Kettleers are home for a matchup against the Harwich Mariners. And Cotuit's offense has been struggling coming out of the All-Star break, but with just 1 week to go in the regular season, they have to get the bats working soon, or else they may be headed home early in August. My name is Josh Rothstein. I'm joined by Ben Gainsborough, and Cotuit is coming off a tough loss away to Brewster last night. Brewster really needed the win, and they got one thanks to some solid pitching, and they got the timely hits when they needed them.
Exactly right, Josh. And it was a weird setup to that game. Coming into it, Cotuit were the favorites record-wise. They had a +3 margin, and Brewster was -5 in wins-losses. But if you look at the starting pitching matchups, Brewster was actually the favorite. They had Mason Black on the mound, who started the All-Star game for the East. And for Cotuit, it was Trey Holland making his first start as a Kettleer. And another thing to notice was the differential in speed. Mason Black throws 95 on the fastball. Trey Holland was low 80s, but after 5 innings, we were tied. It was 0-0, and Trey Holland actually struck out more guys than Mason Black through the start. Trey Holland had 7 strikeouts through 5, while Mason Black had 5 through 5. But in the 7th, when the relievers took over for the Kettleers, it was big TJ Collette of Brewster that had the opposite field 2-run home run to give them the lead. And Cotuit, throughout the game, had stranded bases loaded twice, so they had opportunities to take the lead early, and they couldn't do it. And then in the bottom of the 8th, Brewster tacked on 1 more run, and their great reliever, Sean Fisher of Maryland, was able to take him home. So Cotuit had opportunities in that game, but the hits just didn't come, and Brewster, give them credit, they were really good on the mound. Coach Trey Holland made his starting debut today. He had pitched previously, but this was his start. And he was put in a hard position facing Mason Black, who's one of the top pitchers in the Cape League. How do you think he responded, and how did he look out there on the mound today?
Oh, he did a great job for us. You know, the key to Trey is for us as coaches to know how to play the defense. And as you see, we play the defense very different with him on the mound. But I've had several pitchers like him through the years, and if you position your players right, Trey's going to throw strikes, and he's going to throw strikes with 3 or 4 different pitches. And so I was really pleased with what he did today against a really good, strong Brewster lineup.
Trey and Sullivan combined for 12 innings and 0 walks. How impressive is that to throw strikes and keep them off the bases and free pass?
Well, that's the reason we're staying in games right now, because our bats are a little flat right now. We're in a little bit of one of those ruts where, again, we had the bases loaded twice and we couldn't get the ball in the outfield, and that happens as we go through the season. So they did a great job, and I always say we got a chance to win every time you look out on the scoreboard and there's no errors and no walks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. Cole Bevan made his first start, albeit a brief one. How did he look out there?
No, I was really pleased. I just wanted to get him out there for an inning and take a look at him. I certainly don't know enough about him to go multiple innings yet. But I thought, I liked what I saw. He's got a really nice, quick arm action. His slider has some bite to it. We'll have to learn a little bit more about the curveball and the changeup. But, yeah, I think he's got a chance, and I think you'll see him out there for kind of 1 and 2 inning stints over the next 8 or 9 days.
Awesome. Joey Loperfido made an awesome diving play in right. He made a couple really nice plays at first base. How impressed have you been with his ability to defend multiple positions really well?
Well, Joey's a really good athlete. He's an extremely good athlete, long and rangy. I like him playing in multiple positions, but I do think that probably as he goes into Duke junior year, most likely, and as a pro prospect, I think he's probably suited more for the outfield, right and left field, and that's one reason we've kind of put him out there right now and left him, and I think he's done an excellent job.
That was head coach Mike Roberts following a difficult 3-0 loss to the Brewster Whitecaps at Stony Brook last night. And it was a big win for Brewster, who we also heard were keeping an eye on today's opponent's results, the Harwich Mariners, as they played a doubleheader at Eldridge Park against the Orleans Firebirds. And Harwich and Brewster are really the 2 teams fighting for that 4th and final playoff spot in the Eastern Division. Harwich is currently up 3 points on the Whitecaps. Brewster does have 1 game in hand, so it's really going to come down to the wire. Yesterday, Harwich had a doubleheader at Orleans, as I mentioned. They split, won the first, lost the second, but really the headlines came from that first game. Shutout, a 7-inning no-hitter performance from the starting pitcher, Jacob Palish, and that's just really been the calling card of Harwich all season. Their pitching has been dominant, and that's what has kept them afloat in the Eastern Division, and it continues with a guy on the mound today, Connor McCullough, a redshirt freshman out of Kansas State. He had an okay start against Hyannis in his previous start, going 4 1/3, giving up 2 runs, but it was really the start prior to that one against Chatham where he really shined, going 8 shutout innings and a win for Harwich. They do have some offensive firepower as well. Nico Cavadas is tied with a league lead, 8 home runs. He's tied with TJ Collette, who we saw last night for Brewster, hit a big home run for the Whitecaps. But other than that, for Harwich, the power is not really there. Besides Cavadas' 8 home runs, no one else on the team has more than 2, and just one player in the lineup that's still on the team is hitting over 300. And we've documented Harwich's struggles at the plate as well as their proficiency on the mound, and it doesn't end with the starting pitching. Their bullpen is just as good as their starting pitching, and it's led by Will Heflin coming out of the pen to shore up those Harwich wins. He's pitched to a .5 ERA. So he's been really dynamic for the Mariners coming out of the bullpen in late game situations. So if Cotuit wants to get their offense rolling before the playoffs come around, today will be a tough test for them, but it's going to have to come soon or else they may be headed home early in August. So we'll set it up to our broadcasters, Sam Niederman and R.M. Layton, for their thoughts pregame, as well as Coach Roberts' thoughts pregame.
Thanks, Josh. Welcome into Lowell Park. We are finally playing this baseball game between the Cotuit Kettleers and the Harwich Mariners. It's a Wednesday. It's beautiful in Cotuit. Not a cloud in the sky, 78 degrees and sunny. And we're so glad that you could come along for the ride. Sam Niederman and R.M. Layton, Cotuit versus Harwich. R.M. Cotuit's on one of their more flimsy skids of the season. Winless in their last 3 games, and they're coming off a 3-0 shutout against the Brewster Whitecaps on the road last night. Only 4 hits. This team has struggled a little bit at the plate. How can they adjust today?
Well, they really have run into a lot of really good pitching. Yesterday, another example, Mason Black was good. He did hit 4 batters and ended up walking 1. The Kettleers did have their chances, and I think it ultimately comes down to situational hitting, because once Black came out of the ballgame, Sean Fisher was dazzling. He's been all year. But when Black was on the mound, they had multiple opportunities, runner on third base, less than 2 outs, and you'll hear Coach Roberts get into that in the pregame interview, and you have to cash in on those opportunities, especially as we get down the wire here. And in the postseason, you can't squander that, and situational hitting is going to be a really big key for the Kettleers, and they've been good at it most of the year.
Cotuit ended up stranding 9 on base yesterday, including the bases loaded twice in the 4th and the 5th innings. If there was one bright spot for the Kettleers, it was Trey Holland. He went 5 scoreless innings as a starter, only allowing 4 hits. He walked nobody and struck out 7. Today's starter, not somebody that we've seen on the mound for Cotuit in a starting role. It's Kyle Nicholas who gets the ball, flame-throwing right-hander who's come out of the bullpen so far this year for Cotuit. It's his 11th appearance and first start overall. 1-0 with a 5.32 earned run average. He's opposite a sophomore from Kansas State, Connor McCullough, another right-handed pitcher. Let's start with Nicholas. Arm. It's an interesting move by Coach. What do you make of it?
He did start a few games over at Ball State. It's an interesting move, but I think it's good to change things up because he started the year really hot out of the bullpen. He's hit a little bit of a wall here. We know he has top-end stuff, and he can strike out batters at an alarming rate for other teams, but the big problem is the control. He's walked 17 in just over 20 innings, and hopefully that's something that he can try to reduce in a starting role where he gets into a little bit more of a rhythm instead of coming straight out of the bullpen.
He could end up being a starter at the next level. He has that kind of stuff, a high-velocity fastball that runs in the mid-90s and can top at 97, but the control has been the issue, and he's also got a power slider. 20 2/3 innings pitched so far for Nicholas. He leads the team with 4 saves. He's struck out 25 and walked 17 so far in that time. Kettleers taking on Harwich for the 4th and final time this season. They played 3 times already, Cotuit with 2 wins opposed to 1 loss. This is the 3rd time we've been trying to play this 4th and final game. It was initially supposed to be played on Saturday, July the 12th, and that game was the 12-0 washout in 4 innings. Cotuit was down 12-0, and then the heavens opened up, so we forgot about that one. It was rescheduled to this Monday, but that game was also rained out, a game in which the only game was canceled across the Cape League when there was some rain that came in beforehand. It was rescheduled to this Thursday. Here we are today. Both teams had the open date, so they figured it would be best to play it under the right conditions, and they're ready to rock and roll right now. Both coaches at home plate, meeting with a 3-man umpiring crew. Coach Mike Roberts in his 16th season with Cotuit, Coach Steve Englert in his 17th season for Harwich. Both have won the Cape League Championship twice, and both have played each other in a Cape League Championship series. That was back in 2008 and it was Harwich who got the better of the Kettleers, winning the first of 2 championships under Steve Englert, and their third overall as a franchise. Coach Roberts has won in 2010 and 2013, and he got those wins over YD and Orleans. It's a picture-perfect day at Lowell Park. Blue skies overhead, sun's beaten down, but not too hot. It got really hot over the weekend. It got kind of cold after the thunderstorms to begin this week, but it's your kind of Cape Cod day with 78 degrees and a great scene for some baseball. Kind of a quieter crowd. As we get this one going, the Kettleers come into today's matchup 17-15-4, 3 games back of Falmouth for first place in the West, just 1 point back of Wareham for second place, and Cotuit will take on Wareham tomorrow at home. Harwich 17-19, 5 games out of first place in the East, and a game and a half clear of Brewster for the 4th spot and the final spot in the Eastern Division playoff picture. Connor McCullough gets the ball for Harwich. He's 1-0 with a 1.30 earned run average. He is an all-star. The Kettleers have gone up against good pitching so far. And Aram, you talked about it a little bit, situational hitting the key. But once again, we see the Cotuit Kettleers up against another Tier 1 guy for an opposing pitcher.
And they got to make him work. If you're not going to have it get going at the plate in terms of rattling off a lot of hits, at least get deep into at-bats. Get McCullough out of the ball game before the 5th inning, because that's when they can start to bridge the gap to their bullpen, and we know Harwich has a good bullpen as well. So you want to make that bridge a little more difficult for this Harwich team if you're not going to get to McCullough. If you want to get to McCullough, it's got to be more aggression and jumping on those fastballs. We saw the Kettleers really struggle at catching up to the fastball of Mason Black. McCullough does not throw as hard, but does set up his off-speed with that fastball. They got to be aggressive and not leave it up to the umpires, because we've seen that comes back to bite you with some of these inconsistent zones.
You'll hear from Coach Roberts. We talked to him before the game. He had a little bit of something to say about that, but we've got a great matchup between Cotuit and Harwich, one of the top pitching staffs in the league, and Harwich, a 3.38 team ERA, opposite the top offense in the league for the Kettleers. We'll be back in a moment with starting lineups in the first pitch, but first, here's Coach. Here with Coach Roberts, the Kettleers taking on the Harwich Mariners after this game was rained out a couple of times, but it's a beautiful day at Lowell Park, and we're ready to get some baseball going. Coach, yesterday your club lost 3-0, but a big bright spot was Trey Holland on the mound. 5 scoreless innings. What did he bring to the table in his outing?
Well, again, we're looking for starting pitching that throws strikes, and Trey does a wonderful job of throwing strikes with 3 pitches. Did an outstanding job. Made a couple mistakes. One time, 1-2 fastball away when we had everybody shifted the other way and got a ball through the hole. But if we do our job as coaches to set the defense correctly around a pitcher like Trey, and I've had quite a bit of experience with a soft-throwing left-hander who throws strikes, and with 7 right-handed hitters in the lineup yesterday, they're going to pull the ball often. And I thought, he did a great job, but I thought our positioning was very good behind him.
So yesterday it was a little difficult at the plate. Ran into some really good arms. How do you adjust today, or do you chalk that up to some of the best arms in the Cape with Mason Black and Sean Fisher, guys that are among the top in the league in terms of most pitching stats?
Well, Mason Black gave us many opportunities to score. He's a really good pitcher, but he hit 3 guys, and, we had the bases loaded twice. So, you say, yes, he's very good, but you also say we weren't very good in those situations. Today we came out and, acted in our BP sessions. Everybody was hitting with a man on third base, and we had all the screens out in the middle infield trying to get guys to lift the baseball more. And, this happens every year in the Cape League. Even though there's very few first-round guys up here anymore, the best arms come out at the end of the season, and you're seeing that right now. In the last few games, we faced the best pitching that we faced all year, so we've got to upgrade our offense.
What's that mechanical key to getting the ball up when you need to put it in the outfield in that situation with a runner on third?
Oh, legs. Very short turn radius, extremely short turn radius, and use your legs. And we seem to be hitting down on the ball yesterday. I think the umpire created some problems because the strike zone was extremely open in every direction, and it's like the ball on Colton. The quality umpire, that's not a strike, but yet when you have the bases loaded, they control the game, and there's nothing you can do about it. And I thought that was one situation where we got hurt really bad, but again, we had other situations where we could have done a better job.
Kyle Nicholas gets the ball as your starter today. He's primarily worked out of the bullpen. What's the thinking behind that transition?
Well, the thinking is that Kyle has struggled out of the bullpen, but yet he has a tremendous arm, and that maybe we need to give him more time to be able to use all of his pitches and to work through some jams, which he hasn't had much opportunity to do when you're coming in relief. And a lot of the times, the last 3 or 4 times, it's been with people in scoring position. So he had asked early in the year if he could start a couple of times, and it wouldn't surprise me that he's a starter at Ball State. Wouldn't shock me at all. So prior to going to the playoffs, we want to take a look at what Kyle possibly can add to the ball club as a starter.
Sounds like a plan. Thanks for your time, Coach. Appreciate it.
Okay, you're welcome. Thank you.
That's Coach Mike Roberts. Welcome back to Lowell Park. Glad that you're with us on a Wednesday afternoon in Cotuit. It's the Kettleers against the Harwich Mariners for the 4th and final time this season. Game number 37 on the season for both clubs. Cotuit 17-15-4, opposite Harwich 17-19. Harwich, the visitors at the plate first. You just heard in the interview there, it's Kyle Nicholas who's the starting pitcher for the Kettleers. His first start of the entire summer, his 11th appearance, primarily a bullpen guy. He gets a chance to open things up on the hill. 6'3", 205 pounds, a redshirt sophomore from Massillon, Ohio, and Ball State University. And he goes up against a Harwich lineup that goes like this. Daniel Cabrera, the right fielder, batting leadoff. Chris Gallen, the all-star left fielder, bats second. Nico Cavadas plays at third base and bats third. Joey Weimer Jr., the center fielder, batting cleanup. Michael Ludwig, the DH, batting fifth. Dylan Noisy plays at shortstop and bats sixth. Chris Lanzilli, the first baseman, batting seventh. Pat Winkle, the catcher, batting eighth. And Corey Acton, the second baseman, batting ninth. Connor McCullough gets the ball for Harwich. Right-handed pitcher from Kansas State, 1-0 with a 1.30 earned run average. And once again for Steve Englert's Harwich Mariners, Cabrera in right, Galland in left, Cavadas at third, Weimer in center, Ludwig the DH, Noisy at short, Lanzilli at first, Winkle behind the plate, and Acton the second baseman. Kyle Nicholas getting his first start on the summer arm. We've seen him out of the pen. We know what he features. We know control's a big key, but what else does he have to do to be successful this afternoon?
He's got to mix it up. We've seen, that fastball can get into the mid-90s, even touch high 90s. But at this level, if you're not locating the off-speed, these hitters will adjust and they will catch up to that fastball. So it's locating those secondary pitches, which makes the fastball that much more unhittable.
It's another sunny day in Cotuit, and the Kettleers host the Harwich Mariners on a Wednesday afternoon at Lowell Park. Glad that you're along for the ride. Sam Niederman, Aram Layton, Jacob Cohen, Josh Rothstein, and our entire Kettleer media crew with you the entire step of the way. 9 innings here at LP. Going to be a good one. Daniel Cabrera, the right fielder out of LSU, climbs in from the left side. Kyle Nicholas on the rubber. Casey Schmidt plays in at third. And the big right-hander kicks and fires ball number 1 to start this one off. 95 miles an hour just up and outside. And first pitch clocks in at 5 o'clock sharp. 1 ball and no strikes on Cabrera. Slightly open stance from that left side. And he takes a fastball that dives in at the shins. 2 balls and no strikes. Let's get you the Cotuit defense. Nicholas, the right-handed pitcher, on the mound. Cody Pasek does the catching. Matt Mervis at first base. Nick Gonzalez at second. Casey Schmidt in on the edge of the grass at third. And Adam Oviedo, the shortstop. Another fastball low from Nicholas. He's fallen behind. 3 balls and no strikes on Cabrera. Kettleer outfield. Parker Chavers in left field. Christian Robinson plays in center field. And Joey Loperfido makes the start in right field. 3 balls and no strikes on Cabrera. Nicholas heaves the shoulders and goes into the windup. 3-0 fastball right down the heart of the plate, called for a strike, and it registered at 99 miles an hour out on the Lowell Park scoreboard. 3-1 to the All-Star for Harwich, a .288 batter with a home run and 9 runs batted in. Chopper on the right side. Gonzalez ranges to his left, sprints and throws a little bit high, but Matt Mervis picks it out of the air for out number 1.
Good job there by Nicholas to battle back. Fell behind 3-0 on the leadoff hitter. That could really kill you to start off a ball game. Refocuses, pumps in 2 strikes, and gets him to ground out.
Cabrera yanked it onto the right side, and Gonzalez did a good job to round the baseball. Threw it a little upstairs, but no problem for Matt Mervis, who's 6'4" with a big wingspan at first. 1 down and the bases empty in the top of 1. No score. And here's Chris Galland, another All-Star, who takes a fastball low and outside at 96 miles an hour. Galland, a right-handed batter from Boston College. hitting .310 on the summer. That leads Harwich. 1 home run and 12 RBI. 1-0 fastball in the dirt, 2 balls and no strikes. Galland got his only home run last night. Harwich coming off a doubleheader split against Orleans. The Mariners no-hit Orleans in the first game, a 7-inning game, winning 2-0. Fastball down and in, 3 balls and no strikes on Galland. Orleans got the better of Harwich in game 2, though, winning 8-3. Scoreless in the top of the first, 1 out and the base is empty. Kyle Nicholas has fallen behind once again. 3-0 on the batter. Galland rests the bat on his back right shoulder and takes at the belt for a strike. 95 on a heater. 3-1. Cotuit's in the home white uniforms today, trimmed in maroon, pinstripes in the maroon caps. 3-1. Fastball down and out. It's ball 4 this time to Chris Galland. He works a 5-pitch walk and is aboard with 1 out here in the first. Nicholas goes 3-0 on the first 2 batters that he faces. He got Cabrera to ground out to second to lead off the game. This time he walks Galland on a 3-1 count, and he leads off first with Mervis holding him on. 0-0 in the top of 1 on with 1 out, and Nico Cavadas steps in. Nicholas a throw over to first to check on Galland, who scurries back in low. Cavadas, a left-handed batter from Notre Dame, another all-star. League leader in home runs with 8, a .262 batter. He's driven in 27 runs on the year. Nicholas out of the stretch. First pitch slider tagged on the outside corner for a strike. 0-1 on the big burly corner infielder. He has been the most productive man in this Harwich order that is dead last in the Cape League with a .228 team batting average. Galland leads, and another throw over from Nicholas. A little low, and a decent tag by Mervis. Galland just able to get back in safely on a slide.
He's got just about every inch he can get off there at first base. That was as close as you're going to see a pickoff over with a right-handed pitcher, and he just got in there ahead of the throw.
Another throw, darted over by Nicholas, but Galland able to reach a hand back in there before the tag. Still a no-ball, 1-strike count on Cavadas. Still scoreless in the top of the first. Runner on first and Galland with 1 out. He shimmies off the bag, a moderate lead. Nicholas holds. Pasek sets outside, and a fastball's fouled back. No balls and 2 strikes on Cavadas.
Much better job here to get ahead of Cavadas. This is not a guy you want to fall behind. You mentioned the 8 home runs tied for the Cape League. He can make you pay if you leave one over the middle, and now he's ahead, has some pitches to work with here.
Casey Schmidt backs off at third. He leaves a lot of room down the left field line. Oviedo shades to the bag at second. Twist over to first, and Galland dives in under the tag safely. 0-0 in the visiting half of 1. 1 on and 1 out. No balls and 2 strikes on Cavadas. Nicholas, the 2-strike pitch. High fastball at 95 miles an hour. Good jumping catch by Pasek to keep it in front. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Harwich in their road blue tops, trimmed with red letters and numbers, gray pants, and red, white, and blue stirrups. 1-2. Slider tagged in the air the other way. Shavers goes down the line and is unable to get there. It drops in for a hit. Galland speeds into third. He's given the stop sign. And Nico Cavadas punches a 1-out double the other way to put Harwich in business. Runners on second and third with only 1 out in the first.
Really good job there by Cavadas, especially against a high-velocity guy like Nicholas. Let that fastball get deep and just dispensed it the other way. He's got so much power, he doesn't even need to swing hard, and just shot it out there down the left field line.
He is a mammoth up there at the plate. He can get a hold of one, and that time he was able to turn on it the other way. It tucked inside the left field foul line, and it was too far down for Chavers to have any play on it. Now it's second and third with 1 out. No score, but Joey Weimer steps in from the right side trying to change that. He waves and misses at a first pitch slider for strike 1. Cotuit brings the infield in. 2-by-2 on either side. Nobody holds on either runner at scoring position. Weimer, the big and tall center fielder from Cincy. A .284 batter. A home run and 15 driven in. 0-1. Fastball knocked back foul. 0-2. Harwich has a pretty loaded lineup despite being last in the league in batting. Their first 4 batters to come to the plate all played in the All-Star game on Sunday. Harwich led the league with 9 All-Stars in total. A lot of projectable guys that just have not produced the numbers so far this summer. 0-2, swing and a miss on a slider. Good dip from Nicholas, who's able to get a big-time strikeout for out number 2 in the first.
This could be one of those teams, Harwich, where you look back in 10 years and you think, how the heck did those guys not win the Cape League? Just because, like you said, Sam, so many high-level prospects, they just have not been able to put it together on the field, but they could end up sending a handful of guys to the big leagues with how much talent they have on this roster.
2 on in scoring position with 2 out. No score in the first. And the Kettleers reset the infield back with the exception of Schmidt at third base, who creeps in. Michael Ludwig, the batter, and he tags back a fastball foul. 0-1. Ludwig, a DH out of Wake Forest, another really good projectable guy. 6'1", 210 pounds, a junior, a native of Ashburn, Virginia. He hit .300 with the Demon Deacons this past spring, but he's only hitting .269 this summer with Harwich. 3 runs batted in. A 1 slider outside, 1 ball and 1 strike. Ludwig, a left-handed bat. Kyle Nicholas making his first start of the year for the Kettleers. He got off to a shaky start with a 3-0 count on the leadoff batter in Cabrera, but was able to get him to ground out. Then he walked Galland. Cavadas a double to set up second and third with 1 away. He just got a strikeout of Weimer for out number 2. 1-1. Hackett a miss at a high fastball. And Nicholas gets ahead on the batter and Ludwig. 1 ball and 2 strikes. Quiet day at Lowell Park. A thinner crowd on the third base grandstand. Barely anybody on the first base grandstand in this makeup game. 1-2. Swing and a miss. He blew by a fastball up the ladder, and it's Kyle Nicholas who's able to recover, and he gets back-to-back strikeouts to get out of the first inning of play. Harwich, no runs on 1 hit, no errors, and a couple left it in scoring position, and we're on to the bottom of 1. Cotuit gets their first crack at it when we return. This is Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. The hometown Kettleers come to the plate first, bottom of the first inning. No score against the Harwich Mariners. Connor McCullough gets the ball for Harwich, a right-hander out of Kansas State, and he faces off against a starting lineup for Cotuit. That sounds like this. Joey Loperfido slides into the leadoff spot, and he plays right field. Nick Gonzalez drops down to the number 2 spot, playing second base. Arajanu bats third and is the DH. Matt Mervis, the first baseman, bats cleanup. Casey Schmidt, the third baseman, bats fifth. And Cody Pasix, the catcher, batting sixth. Adam Oviedo, the shortstop, batting in the 7th spot. Christian Robinson in center field, batting 8th. And it's Parker Chavers all the way down to the number 9 spot, playing in left field. Kyle Nicholas worked around 2 runners in scoring position in the first. Once again for Mike Roberts, Cotuit Kettleers, it's Loperfido in right. Gonzalez at second, Anu the DH, Mervis at first, Schmidt at third, Pasek the catcher, Oviedo at short, Robinson in center, and Shavers in left. A new lineup, a little experimental for Coach Roberts, who's looking to spark his offense that has only scored 4 runs over the last 3 games. Cotuit shut out in a loss against Brewster last night, 3-0. McCullough winds up and throws in a fastball that's hammered into straightaway center field. Weimer's under it, and he spots it for out number 1. 1 pitch and 1 out for McCullough. Joey Loperfido aggressive in his first leadoff plate appearance, but he's set down to start things off in the bottom of the first. Next up, Nick Gonzalez. Let's set the Harwich defense. Connor McCullough, the right-handed pitcher on the mound. Pat Winkle, the catcher. Chris Lanzilli, the first baseman. Corey Acton at second base. Nico Cavadas holds down the fort at third. And Dylan Noisy plays at shortstop, right now playing with his feet in the grass, really deep. McCullough's first pitch to Nick Gonzalez, a breaking ball down and in, 1 ball and no strikes. Chris Galland in left field. Joey Weimer Jr., the center fielder, and Daniel Cabrera plays out in right field. Dead into the sun. 1-0 fastball high and outside. 2 balls and no strikes on Gonzalez. Uncharacteristically slumping a little bit. 0 for 3 last night. Reached base once as a hit batsman. His average has dropped 10 points. He still leads the league in hits, runs, and slugging. 2-0. Sky-high fastball again into center field. And Weimer backpedals all the way to the fence and makes the play for out number 2. Couple of pitches and a couple of outs for Connor McCullough. Back-to-back flyouts to center field for Loperfido and Gonzalez. And now it's Arajanu's turn, the big switch-hitting DH out of Kentucky. He bats from the left side against the right-hander McCullough, a .218 batter. 4 home runs and 17 runs batted in. Went 1 for 3 last night, collecting 1 of 4 hits against Brewster for Cotuit. Slider on the outside part of the plate, 1 ball and no strikes on Anu. 3-man umpiring crew today. Mike Rabideau, the home plate ump. And he calls a breaking pitch for a strike to even up the count on Anu, 1-1. Rick Antonio, the first base ump, and Tom Ryberg, the third base umpire. Rocking the Sky Blues today. 1-0 breaking pitch, swing and a miss. Curveballs all the way, and it's 1-2 on Anu. Harwich stranded runners on second and third back in the first. Kyle Nicholas was able to get back-to-back strikeouts. 1-2. Hard fastball outside. 2 balls and 2 strikes on Anu. McCullough getting into his groove early. An all-star. He pitched an inning in Orleans against the Western Division and did give up a run. 2-2, curve, swing and a miss, and Anu's down on strikes, and it's a quick 1-2-3, bottom of the first for the Kettleers at the plate. We'll be right back in just a moment. It's top of the second coming your way on the other side of this break here on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Top of the second in Cotuit. No score between the Kettleers and Harwich. Happy Wednesday. Hope you're having a great afternoon. The skies have cleared up. It's a sunny day in the village of Cotuit. Sam Niederman and Arm Layton with you from the Arnold Mycock press box. At Lowell Park, it's Kyle Nicholas who's on the mound for his second inning of work for Cotuit. Worked around a couple of runners on second and third, getting strikeouts of Joey Weimer and Michael Ludwig to cap off the first. And he had a little bit of control struggles in the beginning of that outing, Aram, but looked to be a little more sharp in those last 2 batters. What did you think of that first inning for him as a starter?
It's a good job to battle back and settle down, like you said, Sam, but he can't keep falling behind these hitters and getting away with it. We saw how close Harwich was to scoring, and with the way his offense has been struggling with Cotuit, you can't really afford to give up a lead early, so he's got to battle back and get ahead of these Harwich hitters, especially as you get towards the bottom of the order.
0-0 in the top of the second. Nicholas comes on to face 6, 7, and 8 in the Harwich lineup. Dylan Noisy, Chris Lanzilli, and then Pat Winkle. It begins with Noisy, who bats on the right side, squares around a bunt, and then pulled it back on a 94-mile-an-hour fastball that got the outside corner for strike number 1. Noisy, 11 hits and 53 at-bats. Came here late with Texas Tech after going to the College World Series in Omaha. 0-1 fastball right down Broadway, nothing in 2. 2 home runs for the little shortstop from Lubbock. 7 runs batted in. 1 for 2 yesterday with a walk in the second game of the doubleheader against Orleans. 0-2 slider, fended away foul down the right field line. Still nothing in 2. Fourth and final meeting between these two teams on the regular season. Kettleers hold the season series advantage at 2-1, including winning the last official game between these two in a 5-0 shutout fashion at White House Field earlier in July. Still 0-2 on Noisy after a foul ball. Cotuit picked up the opening week win at home against Harwich 7-5. Then went on the road about a week and a half later to White House Field and dropped a game 2-1 after a couple of rain delays in that one. Got that 5-0 shutout on July the 11th. A slider down low at the shins, 1-2 on Noisy. It was supposed to be a home-and-home that week. Harwich came here to Lowell Park the next day and was about to get revenge, up 12-0 in the fourth. Fastball fouled back, and Noisy stays alive, 1-2. But then the heavens opened up and washed everything away. Kettleers did not have much of a pulse at the plate in that game. Harwich jumped all over them, but it was rained out in the fourth, and you have to play 5 for it to count, so that's why we're here making up this one. 1-2 fastball on the outside corner. Good pitch from Nicholas, and it's a strikeout looking to start off the second. Make it 3 consecutive strikeouts for Nicholas. 2 swinging against Weimer and Ludwig to cap off the first. And then he got Noisy staring at a one on the right side of that plate. A good fastball at 94 for out number 1 here in the second. Here's Chris Lanzilli, who grounds the first pitch foul on the third base side. No balls and 1 strike. All-American first baseman out of Wake Forest. A 197 batter this summer with 1 home run and 7 runs batted in. 2 for 3 with a home run last night against Orleans. A 1 slider, just a tick inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Base is empty with 1 out in the second. No score between Cotuit and Harwich. Kyle Nicholas adjusts on the mound, kind of twitches on that rubber a little bit, pulses his black mid. Now the 1-1. Fastball fouled away high behind home plate. Nicholas gets ahead again. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Lanzilli. Quiet crowd at Lowell Park. Always a little bit of a damper on the attendance when it's a makeup game, especially when this is the 3rd time that these two teams have tried to play this game. 2nd time they've tried to make it up. It was originally supposed to be played on Monday. Wind up in the 1-2. Slider down and out. 2-2 on Lanzilli. But the Village faithful still filing in. They always do in the early parts of the game. Probably still getting back from the beach. It was a good day to use it. Fastball low at the ankles. 3 balls and 2 strikes on Lanzilli now. It's the first time that the parking lot behind us is not even full. Noticed that earlier. It was about an hour to first pitch. Normally that's jam-packed. But instead, there are some open spaces in prime real estate, too. Nicholas does not hit the zone with a 3-2 fastball. Just a little low, and Lanzilli works a 1-out walk, second one of the game from Nicholas. He had him in a 1-2 count, but then was unable to finish it off, and Lanzilli works a walk to get on board with 1 out in the second. No score, and it's Pat Winkle who comes to the plate from the left side. 10 hits and 60 at-bats, 8 runs driven in. He was 0 for 3 in the first game of the doubleheader last night. Then gave way to his catching teammate Mike Rothenberg, who cleaned up in the second game. Steve Englert likes to rotate between those two, no matter what the line or what the performance. It's every other game. Fastball fouled out on the left side. 0-1 on Winkle. 1 man on with 1 man out. 0-0 in the second. Casey Schmidt now plays in on the edge of the grass. Middle infielders squeeze in towards second. Christian Robinson also plays a little shallow in center field. A 1. Fastball on the inside corner for a strike. No balls and 2 strikes on Winkle. Corey Acton, the number 9 man on deck for Harwich. Casey Schmidt now backs off at third with a 2-strike count. Lanzilli a deep lead at first, held on by Mervis. 0-2. Change-up fouled back. Winkle stays alive. Nicholas has a little bit of starting experience on the mound. He was a weekend starter and closer at Ball State. He made 6 saves in 23 appearances. He did start 5 games for the Cardinals this past spring. Quick pick to first. Lansley just ducks underneath the tag on a head-first slide. He can hit 100 if he really rocks it. We saw him clock out at 99 earlier in the first. He's been consistently around 94, 95 in this one so far. 0-2 from the letters. Fastball at 91. Arced back foul behind home plate. Still 0-2 on Winkle. Ball State head coach Rick Maloney could plan to use Kyle Nicholas as a starter coming next spring. He'll be a junior. A redshirt sophomore technically, and there have been a couple of really good arms that have come through Muncie, and Cotuit as well. 0-2, slider in the dirt. Winkle takes to make it a 1-2 count.
Good block there by Pasek. You saw Nicholas on the mound point towards his catcher and say, way to go, because that's a big area of trust when a pitcher can know that he can spike that slider down and his catcher will back him up. It's a lot more comforting for the pitcher on the mound to be able to go to his off-speed stuff way ahead 0-2.
Runner on first with 1 out. No score in the second. 1-2. Fastball chopped on the right side. That's through for a base hit. Pat Winkle comes out with a 1-out single. And Harwich has runners on first and second with only 1 away here in the second inning of play. Still no score. A high bouncing ground ball towards second. Lansley was able to contort his body out of the way. Paused on his way to second base and then ran through the baseball once it got past him. He kind of flashed across Nick Gonzalez, who had no play on that ground ball, and it rolled into right for a base hit. So it's Winkle's 11th hit of the season. He's on first. Lansley up to second base. 2 on with 1 out, and here's the number 9 man, Corey Acton, second baseman from the left side. Nicholas from the stretch. Fastball grounded foul on the first base side. 0-1. Acton 5 for 37 with a home run and 4 driven in. Harwich threatening again. Similar sequence to what we saw in the first. A 1-out walk and then a hit. It was Cavadas who had a double down the opposite field line and left back in the first, and both runners were stranded. This time it's Winkle with a single into right. 0-1. Little slider tapped right in front of the home plate. Instead, it's called foul by the home plate umpire Mike Rabideau. And it's another 0-2 hole for a Harwich batter. This time it's Acton. Both runners walk off first and second. Oviedo shades Lansley at second base. Mervis backs off Winkle with a big lead at first. 0-2. Fastball up and in, and it hits the batter on the wrist. Kyle Nicholas hinges over at his waist, hands on his knees. A tough mistake to make with a fastball on an 0-2 count. Corey Acton, a hit batsman, and that loads up the bases for Harwich with only 1 away in the second inning.
You wonder if that really hit him there, because Kyle Nicholas throws in the mid-90s, and Corey Acton didn't have much of a reaction there. He's either a really tough guy or he sold that one pretty well, but that comes with the job. We see hitters sell those up and in fastballs all the time.
It sounded like it hit something, and it could have been the knob of the bat. But anyway, here's the number 1 batter, Daniel Cabrera, who looks at a fastball outside for ball 1. Regardless, either Corey Acton's really tough or it just barely grazed his wrist. Regardless, he's on first base, and the bases are loaded for Harwich with the infield playing in for Cotuit, only 1 out. 1-0, fastball at the ankles, 2 balls and no strikes. Scoreless in the top of the second. Harwich threatens again against Kyle Nicholas. He's walked a man, let up a base hit, and now hit a man. And it's first, second, and third. Cody Pasek wants to go out and talk to his hard-throwing right-hander, and so does Mike Roberts, who wanders out of the third base dugout. Still wearing the quarter zip. A lot of work to do for Kyle Nicholas, who's trying to get out of another jam. The entire infield comes in as well. Daniel Cabrera, the batter at the plate, he's 0 for 1, grounded out to second base to lead off the game. Nicholas has gotten into 2 strike counts in every single at-bat so far, but much different results from the leadoff strikeout of Dylan Noisy, a walk, a single, and a hit batter. A little bit of activity coming up in the Cotuit bullpen. Looks like a left-hander's getting loose in Evan Justice. Quick mound visit for Coach Roberts. Broken up by Mike Rabideau, the home plate umpire. He signals up to the press box and says that's Cotuit's first conference. New thing in the Cape League, they keep track of those this year. Infield still plays in for the Kettleers. 0-0, top of 2. Bases loaded for Harwich with 1 out. 2 balls and no strikes on Cabrera, the left-handed batter. Fastball roped into the air, right field, that's down for a base hit. Langely comes in and scores. Here comes Winkle. Throw in from Loperfido to third, and he did not get Acton, who slides in feet first. Harwich gets on the board first at Lowell Park. A 2 RBI double by Daniel Cabrera to make it 2-0.
That was a close play there at third. Casey Schmidt doesn't look like he was happy with the call. A great throw from Loperfido all the way in right field to try and seal it out there. And looks like he just got in ahead of the tag, acting there at third.
It was a bang-bang play. Loperfido has just gotten his feet wet in the corner outfield spot for Cotuit over the last few games. And he planted a dime to third, but just off the edge for Schmidt, who wasn't able to get the tag in time, according to the third base ump, Time Ryberg. So it's 2-0 Harwich, top of the second. 1 man out, and runners on second and third for the number 2 man, Chris Galland. 0 for 0 with a walk. Infield still plays in for Cotuit, 0-1 home. Fastball, it gets behind Pasek all the way to the backstop. And another run comes on in for Harwich. This time it's Acton who sprints home from third, and it's a 3-0 game. A wild pitch from Kyle Nicholas. It skimmed the ground in the left-handed batter's box. Pasek was unable to dig it out. And that makes it a 1-1 count on Galland and a 3-0 ball game with only 1 down in the second. Cabrera up to third base, and the infield still plays in. 1-1 slider in the dirt. This time Pasek keeps it in front, 2-1 on Galland. It looks like Harwich might be getting a little reverse karma after the 12-0 rain out. They get themselves a 3 spot here in the second inning of play.
What do you always say, Sam? The ball never lies?
The ball never lies. What goes around comes around. Fastball on the inside corner, 2-2 on Galland. It was an unfortunate break for Harwich, who was in a big-time division race in the Eastern Division. They're only a game and a half clear of Brewster for that 4th and final playoff position. 2-2. Slider popped up on the infield. Let's see who goes for it. Schmidt seems to have a beat coming in from third, and he does have it for out number 2. Galland to pop up to third base, and that takes a little bit of the pressure off for out number 2 here in the top of the second. Harwich ahead already, though, 3-0. 2-run double by Cabrera. He's on third. Another run came home on a wild pitch. Kettleers reset the infield. And it's a left-handed bat to come to the plate, and Nico Cavadas. Nicholas still out of the stretch. First pitch. Fastball, zip back foul into the netting behind home plate. 0-1. Cavadas 1 for 1 with a double to the opposite field down the line and left his first time up. He was stranded on second base in that first inning. 0-1 fastball. It's spiked in the dirt, and it gets behind Pasek. The throw to Nicholas at the plate. Too low, and another run comes home for Harwich. Cabrera scores from third on another wild pitch. And Nicholas and Cotuit beginning to lose a little bit of steam here in the field. Our 4 runners to reach in this inning have come home to score. 2 on the double by Cabrera, and now 2 on the wild pitches. And it's a 4-0 ball game with 2 outs in the second.
And Nicholas isn't even giving Pasek a chance here. That slider bounced about 6 feet in front of home plate, and you just have no idea where that thing's going to go if you're Cody Pasek, and he tried his best.
1-0 to Cavadas, a protective check swing, and he puts it in the field of play. Nicholas fields off the mound and whips it to first, where Mervis tagged up Cavadas to clean it all up in the end, and that's out number 3. But Harwich strikes big time. They get 4 runs on 2 hits. No errors and nobody left on base, and we're out of the bottom of 2. Work to do for the Kettleers at home at Lowell Park. We'll be back with Cotuit at the plate in just a moment on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. at Lowell Park. Kettleers in a 4-0 hole against Harwich. And it's 4, 5, and 6 due up for Cotuit in this inning against the right-hander Connor McCullough, Matt Mervis, Casey Schmidt, and then Cody Pasick. First pitch from McCullough, nipped back foul. Strike one on Matt Mervis. Mervis, a .277 batter, 13 hits and 47 tries. 1 home run and 12 driven in. Went 0 for 1 yesterday at Brewster as a pinch hitter. McCullough winds up and deals the 0-1. Fastball tagged on the inside corner, 0-2. Kettleers in an early deficit. 4 runs for Harwich in the top of the second inning. A 2-run double by Daniel Cabrera, and then 2 more runs came home on wild pitches from Kyle Nicholas. 0-2 breaking ball, nasty swing and a miss, and McCullough sets down the leadoff batter on strikes, his second strikeout of this game. 4 up and 4 down for McCullough. Back-to-back strikeouts going back to the strikeout of Anu to end the first. Mervis with a swinging K here in the second. 1 down and nobody aboard. Here's Casey Schmidt. Right-handed batting third baseman out of San Diego State. A .259 batter with 5 homers and 17 runs batted in. First pitch fastball, line down the left field line, and that stays in fair for a base hit. Schmidt rounds first and coasts into second. He's got a 1-out double for the Kettleers in the bottom of 2.
Casey Schmidt continues to look comfortable at the plate. Yesterday was a little bit of an anomaly because nobody could really hit the ball that well against Mason Black. But today, he looks like he picked up right where he left off a couple games ago, where he was swinging a hot bat.
He went 0 for 2 with a walk and was a hit batsman yesterday. And that performance was able to extend his 14-game on-base streak to 15. You can give him 16 consecutive games on base with this 1-out double. Cody Pasick, the batter, and he looks at a fastball outside. 1 ball and no strikes on the Cotuit native. He checks in with a .236 batting average, 5 runs batted in. 0 for 1 as a pinch hitter in the 9th inning of last night's loss as well. 4-0 Harwich, man on second with 1 out in the bottom of 2. And McCullough gets a fastball across this time at the belt for strike number 1. 1-1 on Pasick, a left-handed batter. He's been platooning with Colton Kessler all season long, but made the All-Star team on Sunday. Had a great moment with the home run, his only of the year. And he looks at a breaking ball at the shins, called for a strike, 1-2. But it seems like he's really kind of commanded that number 1 role as a catcher, perhaps, for the Kettleers.
He's looked really good defensively. He continues to just put together good at-bats. You know, he's not going to hit the ball out of the yard every single game. Rarely hits an extra base hit, as we've said, but he's a tough out, and that's a big thing for the lineup.
1-2, ground ball on the right side. And that's foul past first base. Cody stays alive.
And you know Coach Roberts likes guys like that handle the bat well. We've seen him bunt well. We've seen him hit in hit-and-run situations or pulling the ball in a situation like this if there was no outs to get the runner to third. He's just really good at handling the bat and really mature up there at the plate.
He's got a chance to get the Kettleers back into this thing. Harwich leads 4-0. Schmidt's on second with a double. Only 1 out in the bottom of the second. Connor McCullough working out of the stretch for the first time this afternoon. Noisy plays back at short. Nobody holding on Schmitty. A long lead for him. 1-2 breaker. Just inside. 2-2 on Pasick.
Good pitch there. But an even better take there from Pasick because there's nothing he could have done with that pitch. At the very least, he would have yanked it foul. Most likely would have popped it up.
Harwich ahead 4-0. Schmidt leads at second. Noisy creeps in a bit, now backs off. 2-2. Fastball hit in the air, right field. It stays in for Cabrera. Under the sun, and he's able to make the play in the right center gap for out number 2. Schmidt tags and advances to third. It's a productive out from Cody Pasick here in the second.
Pasick just missed under that. He got a good piece of it, but unfortunately just missed a hair under it, or else he might have had a chance at his first extra base hit of the regular season.
Well, that was something we talked about a little bit with Coach Roberts before the game. He wants his players to do better hitting situationally and particularly getting the ball in the air more. In that case, it was a runner on second, but he would like him to get the ball in the air fundamentally when there's a runner on third to just hit a sac fly. We actually saw him doing that before the game. Around a BP off the pitching machine. There were 4 screens lined across the infield to make sure that the hitters tried to hit it over the screens and get that ball into the air. Had not seen that before. It looked like Coach was building a fort or something like that with all his screens rather than the conventional BP lineup. So now it's Adam Oviedo who's up to the 7th spot today. 1 ball and 1 strike on him with a runner on third and Schmidt and 2 outs. McCullough gives him a breaking ball and he yanks it foul up the third base line. 1-2. Harwich posted up 4 in the top of the 2nd inning. Cabrera a 2-run double and a couple of wild pitches brought home runs. Schmidt a 1-out double to left and he advanced to third on the fly ball to right from Pasek. McCullough winds up and delivers a 1-2. Curveball sweeps down and outside. 2-2 on Oviedo. Oviedo checks in with a .250 batting average in this game. 3 home runs and 16 RBI. He's on a little 4-game hitting streak. Went 1 for 3 last night at Brewster. McCullough's 2-2. Swing and a miss. Pulled the string on him with a good breaking ball outside. And Connor McCullough picks up his 3rd strikeout of the game to finish off the 2nd. No runs on 1 hit, no errors, and 1 man left in scoring position for Cotuit. And we played 2 in the books at Lowell Park. Harwich 4 and Cotuit nothing on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Top of the 3rd inning, it's a new arm for the Kettleers. Evan Justice relieves Kyle Nicholas after he had a tough 2 innings. He surrendered 4 runs and struck out 3. 2 wild pitches, scored a pair. As for Justice now coming in relief, making his 7th appearance. He started 3 games. He's 0-3 with a 7.41 ERA. In 17 innings pitched, he struck out 9 and walked 13. His last outing, he pitched at Hyannis. Actually, here against Hyannis at Lowell Park, he pitched 3 innings, gave up 2 earned runs, 3 hits, struck out a pair, and walked 3. And he'll get the middle of this Harwich order with Joey Weimer Jr., Michael Ludwig, and Dylan Noisy. That's 4-5-6 for Harwich, who already leads by 4 runs. Weimer struck out swinging in his first at-bat. He stands tall from the right side and takes a ball in the outer half for a strike. Justice a southpaw against the tall righty. A very upright and narrow stance from Weimer. The 0-1. Curveball misses away. He rocks back and forth with the bat waving over his helmet. His feet about shoulder length apart, if that. The 1-1. That one tails away. 89 on the fastball there from Evan Justice. 2-1 to Weimer.
Well, he's got a very high leg kick on his load, too. That's something we're seeing a lot more nowadays with hitters like Bryce Harper influencing that.
Big swing, and he misses. 91 mile per hour fastball blown by him. It's 2-2. Weimer swung out of his shoes there, actually fell over into the other batter's box. But Justice trying to set down the first batter he faces in Weimer. He's ahead with 2 strikes here on the right-handed hitter. The pitch misses away, full 3-2. A changeup that just got away there from Justice. The payoff. Chopper over to third base. Casey Schmidt waits back on it and fires across the diamond to just get Weimer for out number 1. Now 5-3 there for the first out of the inning here in the third. And now it's Michael Ludwig, the DH from Wake Forest, who now bats from the left side. Ludwig hitting .266. He also struck out swinging. That was to end the first inning against Kyle Nicholas. The final line for Nicholas, 2 innings pitched, 3 hits, 4 earned runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts. Chopper behind home plate foul. 0-1 to the left-handed hitter, rocking the stirrups. Infield plays him straight up. Casey Schmidt shaded a little bit over toward shortstop. Fastball crowds him inside, 1-1. A breaking ball misses low, 2-1. Ludwig, one of a pair of Demon Deacons in the lineup today. Chris Lansley, the other. He waits in the hole. A good number of Wake Forest players out here in the Cape. A few on Harwich. We saw Antonio Menendez as that fastball misses inside, 3-1. Menendez is a pitcher. He threw for Harwich against the Kettleers in the last ball game we played over there in Harwich. 3-1. Strike on the outside corner, 3-2. They also had Bobby Seymour, who was one of the best players in the country this spring for Wake Forest. He actually went home with an appendectomy. Not too fun. The payoff pitch, that misses low, ball 4. So Ludwig takes first base. 1 on, 1 out, and now it's Dylan Noisy. Now Noisy bats from the right side, the shortstop. He struck out looking in the second inning. That was before his ball club rattled off 4 straight runs, including 2 on wild pitches and 1 on a single from Daniel Cabrera. The runner on first base, middle of the infield playing the double play against Noisy, the right-handed hitting shortstop. Fastball misses away, 1-0. Control has been a little bit of an issue for Evan Justice this season. I mentioned he's walked 13 in just 17 innings. He has yet to pitch an outing this summer without walking at least 1 batter. He comes set, holds, looks over at first, kicks and deals a 1-0. Fouled straight back, and it's 1-1. NC State versus Texas Tech here.
Sounds like a potential Sweet 16 matchup next spring or something like that. I'm talking about basketball, by the way.
Could definitely see that. Interesting to see how Texas Tech can reload. They lost a lot of those veteran players on the squad. Jarrett Culver, of course, leading the way. The 1-1.
Oh.
That one gets way away from Evan Justice there.
Just lost a release point, it looked like.
And that one looked like it was going towards the first base dugout out of his hand. A good job by Pasek to go over and snag it. And it's 2-1. Runner on first base, Ludwig, not much of a threat to run. But he does have a pretty generous lead there. Pick off over to first base, he strolls back.
NC State basketball is... I don't remember what they did last year because they fired Mark Gottfried back in 2017. Kevin Keats is now the head coach there in Raleigh.
2-1 misses, up 3-1 now. Justice falls behind Noisy after walking Ludwig. feel like every ACC team, if you guess, there's a 50-50 shot they made the tournament.
Yeah, they made it to the NIT last year, NC State.
That's not too good. The 3-1. Misses inside. Ball 4. That's 2 straight walks here for Evan Justice. After getting the first out with Joey Weimer, he's not been able to recapture the strike zone. Did your Hoosiers even make the NIT?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Indiana made the NIT this year in basketball, and they made it to the semis. No, the quarters. They were this close from going to the Garden, because you know how they play the semis and the final at the Garden. And I kind of didn't want them to do that because I thought that's a bad look. You know, you never want to be that team that's actually trying to win the NIT. But they won a couple of games. They lost to Arkansas at home. I think that was the end of the line for them.
Well, here's the other Demon Deacon, another ACC guy from Wake Forest. He bats from the right side. It's Chris Lansley. The first pitch to Lansley, way away there on the outer half. Another lunging stop there from Cody Pasek. Lansley walked and scored back in the second inning. Hitting just 197 coming into the ball game. Got off to a really tough start for the summer. The 1-0. This is low and in 2-0. He competed in the college home run derby. He had his brother throw to him. Unfortunately, his brother could not find the strike zone. And Lansley looked like he was still having fun out there, but didn't get a lot of pitches to swing at. His teammate Mike Rothenberg, who did not get the start today, also competed in that derby. The 2-0. Strike on the outer half, 2-1. Lansley's been coming around a little bit, though, his last 10 games. 286, 6 for 21. He has a home run and 3 driven in. Runners on first and second, the 2-1 pitch. Ground ball, this could be 2. Oviedo to second for 1. Gonzalez the relay over. And a double play there. Evan Justice is able to get out of the inning by getting Lansley to ground into 2. And he keeps the score at 4-0. The Kettleers look to scratch onto the scoreboard here as we go into the home half of the third. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball. Kettleers trailing by 4 here in the home half of the third. It's still 4-0. A 4 spot in the second inning is the difference so far for Harwich. It's Christian Robinson, Parker Chavers, then Joey Loperfido. That's 8-9-1. Kettleers try and get on the scoreboard here. First pitch to Robinson, misses low, 1-0. Robinson starting in center field today after not playing yesterday's game over at Stony Brook against the Brewster Whitecaps. Back into the lineup today. That one misses low and away. It's 2-0 on Robinson. The outfielder from Stanford bats from the left side. The 2-0. That's lifted out into right center field. Going back towards the wall is Cabrera, and he makes the grab with just a few feet to spare over there in right center field. Robinson gave it a ride, but just not quite enough And that's out number 1.
Robinson's a hard worker. He was working earlier with Coach and a couple of other players who were trying to really get after that drill of getting the ball up in the air, and he was able to there. They want to tap into his raw power. He's got a great frame at 6'2", 215, but has not hit a home run in the calendar year of 2019. That also goes back to his season at Stanford.
He's a big burly guy. His forearms are about the size of my leg.
Oh, yeah, I wouldn't want to mess with him. Are you kidding me? He knows Taekwondo, too. Remember that?
Yep. No, thank you. A really nice guy, but, yeah, you don't want to mess with Christian Robinson. But still waiting for him to tap into that power, like you said, Sam. Something that I think everyone thinks he can do, and he slowly will. But he just hasn't quite been able to yet. Ground ball over to second base. Axton scoops it up. On to first, out number 2. Back to the top of the order now, second time around, Joey Loperfido. He swung at the first pitch he saw to lead the ball game off. Gave it a nice ride out there to center. Unfortunately, there's a lot of space out there. Nick Gonzalez, who follows on deck, did the same thing. 397 to straightaway center field, 320 down both the left and right field lines here at Lowell Park. Jets out a little bit into the center field gaps. A pretty traditional outfield here as the first pitch misses down and gets away from the catcher. That's the way I would describe it here at Lowell Park, right, Sam? Pretty traditional dimensions. It just goes a perfect semicircle there. That one misses up, and it's 2-0.
It's very symmetrical. Symmetrical and simple, and it lets the beauty of this park just do the talking.
The 2-0. One misses up and out. Loperfido ahead 3-0. Loperfido has been swinging a really hot bat for the Kettleers, an offense that's been struggling. He's been the bright spot. He's upped his average to 290 over the last few games. So he takes 3-0. It's 3-1. Had just one hit yesterday. The Kettleers only had 4 as a team. But before that, he picked up 3 hits, including a pair of doubles. Fastball in the inside corner. Loperfido jumped out of the way, but it's a called strike, and it's 3-2. 3-2, 2 outs, nobody on. The payoff pitch to Loperfido. He chops one to Acton again. Fields it up at the hip. On to first base and out number 3. Another 1-2-3 inning. McCullough has faced just 1 over the minimum as we go into the 4th inning. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball. Inning here, but the third arm for the Kettleers. Now it's Chris Farrell's turn. Farrell from William and Mary University. He's 0-1, a 6.23 ERA in 7 games. He's made 4 starts. This will be his 8th appearance. 17 innings pitched. He struck out 13, walked 17, surrendered 20 hits. He did come off his best outing now. His last outing he pitched against Hyannis, went 2 1/3, struck out 2, gave up no hits and no runs. So Farrell represents the third arm out of the bullpen now. And that misses low and away to the catcher, Pat Winkle, who singled back in the second inning. It was a seeing eye single that snuck into right field. Nick Gonzalez was playing up the middle, double play depth, and it just was able to trickle out there. So 1-0 misses high. It's 2-0. Farrell, the right-handed pitcher. Farrell works out of the windup, kicks and deals a 2-0, misses up 3-0. The story of all three pitchers today, I think, has been kind of the same story all season long. Control has been the issue. Same for Kyle Nicholas, same for Evan Justice, and now Chris Farrell. He's walked 17 in as many innings, but he pours in a strike there, and it's 3-1.
Yeah, Chris Farrell just hasn't seemed to be himself ever since a really great opening day start in which he worked 5 scoreless innings.
Misses inside, ball 4. First walk of the ball game here for Farrell against the first guy he faces in Winkle. And there's a runner aboard with nobody out.
Well, the Kettleer pitchers today have now walked 5 total batters, and we're only in the 4th inning. And it's a 4-0 lead for Harwich. And these are the top 3 pitchers on the Kettleer pitching staff in walks so far this season.
And now Farrell walks number 18 there. And it's a 9-hitter, Corey Acton, who was hit by a pitch back in the second. Farrell has just 1 appearance this season without walking one. It was his last appearance against Hyannis. The other 7 now, he has recorded at least 1 walk. First pitch to Acton, lined foul. He shot it down the left field line, but just a little too late on it, 0-1. 87 on the gun there from Farrell, who will touch the low 90s, sit around the high 80s. Acton, the second baseman, bats from the left side from the University of Florida. Just a sophomore. Hit .255 this season for the Gators. Misses up and out, 1-1. Acton has struggled so far this season for Harwich. Came into the game hitting just .135. The 1-1. Curveball gets away from Farrell, 2-1. This is the guy you want if you're Chris Farrell on the mound. On deck is the top of the order, starting with Daniel Cabrera, who picked up that RBI single back in the second inning. And then Chris Galland and Nico Cavadas. The 2-1. Misses up and out, 3-1. As Farrell falls behind his second consecutive batter, trying to avoid 2 straight walks here with Acton. So Winkle on first base. The catcher not much of a threat to run. He has a modest lead. The 3-1. Line drive, base hit into left field. That'll be a single. And back-to-back runners aboard as it actually gets past Chavers in left field. And both runners will advance an extra base. Winkle coasts into third. Acton coasts into second. That'll be ruled a single with an error on the left fielder there, Parker Chavers, who has continued to struggle out there in fielding ground balls.
Yeah, just a routine shot single to the left side by Acton. And Chavers might have taken a slight step in on the ball, and he just wasn't able to field it cleanly. And that cost the Kettleers 90 feet apiece. Both runners get on to scoring position with that error in left field.
That was a ball that bounced just beyond the infield dirt. It was not rolling too hard at Chavers. It looked like he tried to field it nonchalantly, and it snuck right under his glove. And now the Kettleers are in trouble. Runners on second and third. And the first pitch fastball on the outer half is a strike to Daniel Cabrera, who's 1 for 2. Cabrera picked up that single into right center to plate a couple runs. The right fielder from LSU can swing for some power. He's been swinging a hot bat. 0-1 pulled foul down the first base line, 0-2. So the infield's drawn in for the Kettleers, trying to cut down a run. They already trail by 4 here in the bottom of the top of the 4th inning rather. Farrell's been able to get ahead now, 0-2 on Cabrera. The 0-2 gets it past Pasek and into the backstop, and that'll score another run, the third run on a wild pitch surrendered by this Kettleers pitching staff today. And it has been an ugly one for Kettleer pitchers today. Nicholas started it off with 2 innings pitched. He walked two and hit one batter and surrendered 2 runs on 2 wild pitches. Evan Justice walked a pair in his 1 inning. And now Farrell hasn't shown much better control at the mound. Curveball misses in the dirt. It's 2-2. Infield remains drawn in. Acton now at third base all alone. It's now 5-0 in favor of Harwich. Kettleers haven't made the Harwich offense work too hard, an offense that is among the worst in the Cape League in just about every single metric. 2-2, blew a fastball by him, strike 3. First out of the inning is a strikeout to the leadoff hitter, Daniel Cabrera. Harwich hitting just .228 as a ball club coming into the game. That's dead last in the Cape League. 131 runs as a team, that's 9th. And they really just have not been a good hitting team, but they haven't really had to swing it too much in this game so far. Just 5 runs on 4 hits. First pitch misses low and in to Chris Gowan, the left fielder. Gowan from Boston College. He's had a really nice year for the Mariners, hitting .310. 12 runs driven in. He's 27 for 87. 1-0 misses away, 2-0. Galland was 1 for 4 in his last game yesterday at Orleans. That was a 8-3 loss against the Firebirds. As a curveball is a strike, now 2-1. Galland bats from the right side, 6 foot, 198 pounds. He's looking for something he can lift in the outfield and give his team a 6-run lead here in the 4th. He foul tips one into the dirt, and it's 2-2 now. On deck is Nico Cavadas, the power-hitting third baseman. He already has a double today. He's 1 for 2. Gallen's been swinging a hot bat. 448 in his last 10 games. That's 13 for 29 with a home run and 8 driven in. Curveball, one hopper over to Ovi. Backhands it, checks on third base, fires it to first. And a big second out and a nice play by the shortstop, Adam Oviedo.
Big play indeed. Playing in on the infield, and he was able to get that ball on a backhand pick. Well done to check on the base runner at third and then make a nice strong throw across the way to first for a big out number 2.
But Farrell's not out of the woods yet. Nico Cavadas now at the plate. He's 1 for 2 with a double, tied for the Cape League in home runs with 8 as a backdoor curveball doesn't quite come back. It's 1-0. Infield play straight up now with 2 outs. Acton still on third base. The 1-0. That one misses low. It's 2-0. We'll see if Chris Farrell really wants to give in to Cavadas here. First base is open. But Joey Weimer Jr. waits on deck. Parker Chavers hugging the left field line. Rest of the outfield plays straight away. Curveball misses away now, and it's 3-0 to the big left-handed hitter from Notre Dame. And they're just going to put him on. Coach Roberts says he doesn't even want to see an extra pitch. Probably a smart move with how many wild pitches we've seen so far this game. So with the 3-0 count, Coach Roberts puts Cavadas on first base. And now they'll go after Joey Weimer, the big right-handed hitter. So now it's Weimer's turn with runners on the corners. He bats from the right side. I can't get over his stance, Sam. It's Craig Counsell-esque, but I think even more unique. That misses low and away. He gets that bat up over his head, but then brings it down and almost meets it with his kneecap with a big leg kick as he brings it down. A lot of movement there, but it's been working so far this season, hitting .284 coming into today. A 1-0. Curveball misses in, 2-0.
I think it's the most unique batting stance in the entire Cape League. I think that's a great spot-on comparison to Craig Counsell as well. Looks like he's twirling around the bat like he's playing wiffle ball or something, just fooling around in the backyard.
The 2-0 to Weimer. Chopper through the hole and into left field, a base hit. That's run number 6 for Harwich. So Joey Weimer Jr. singles to make it a 6-0 deficit for the Kettleers. A 2-out RBI single. He's been good all year in that position. Was hitting .455 in 11 at-bats, 8 RBI with runners in scoring position, and 2 outs, and he drives in his 12th of the year. So now it's Michael Ludwig, the DH. Bats from the left side. Chris Farrell trying to pick up the 3rd out of the inning and strand 2 runners aboard. He misses low, 1-0. Ludwig 8 for his last 24. Ludwig, another Wake Forest Demon Deacon, a junior from the left side, hit .300 this spring as he takes it low and inside, 2-0. 3 home runs, 9 doubles, 30 runs driven in. He's ahead 2-0 here on Farrell, the infield, playing straight up with the left-handed hitter. Farrell out of the stretch, kicks and deals. 2-1 now. 2-1 now as that fastball dots the corner. 87 from Farrell. Cavada stands on second base. He walked. Weimer on first base. He picked up an RBI single to make it 6-0 here in favor of the Mariners. 2-1 grounded over to first base. Mervis fields it. He'll take it himself for out number 3, but not before. The Mariners add 2 more, and it's now 6-0 in favor of Harwich. We'll go into the home half of the 4th. The Kettleers look to scratch onto the scoreboard. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Have some work to do here in the home half of the 4th. They trail by 6. It's 6-0 in favor of the Mariners. They do have the top of the order with the number 2 hitter Nick Gonzalez leading off, then Araj Anu and Matt Mervis. Gonzalez takes a first pitch curveball in the dirt, 1-0. It's been an uncharacteristic slump for Nick Gonzalez, 0 for his last 13. He flew out to center field, deep center field, in his first at-bat as he chops one foul. It was a good swing for Gonzalez, who had to come away encouraged. He put it right about at the 397 sign. Joey Weimer Jr. had to have his back right against it. And that was the 2nd out of the ball game. Now he gets his 2nd look here at Connor McCullough, who's been really good. The 1-1. Curveball floats too high, 2-1.
McCullough has been really impressive arm, and the Kettleers, like we talked about in the open, have had some bad luck against good opposing starting pitching. That's one reason, but you got to find a way to make adjustments at the plate.
2-1 misses up, 3-1. McCullough's gone 3 scoreless so far, only given up the 1 hit, and he struck out 3. Gonzalez trying to get on base here for the first time in the ball game. He's ahead 3-1 the pitch. chopped foul down the third base line, 3-2. McCullough came into the game with a minuscule 1.30 ERA in 5 games, 3 starts. It's only gone down with these 3 scoreless innings. Kettleers trying to get to him. Here in the 4th inning, the payoff pitch. Another ground ball foul. Gonzalez way ahead of that 89-mile-per-hour fastball from McCullough. So Gonzo trying to reach base for the first time in 14 at-bats. The payoff pitch. Misses away, ball 4. He's able to do so, and he leads the inning off with a free pass, and the Kettleers looking to try and threaten with Rajanu now at the plate. So Anu struck out swinging in the first inning. That ended the first. The switch hitter bats from the left side, gets his second look at McCullough. McCullough did face the Kettleers one other time. He threw just 1 inning back on June 15th. Feels like a lifetime ago, first week of the season. As Anu lifts one out into left field, going back is Gowan towards the wall, and he leaps and makes the grab. The Kettleers can't buy one right now. A nice piece there by Anu, but nothing to show for it, and that's out number 1.
Well, he's able to get behind the baseball and drive it to the opposite field, but instead there's just not enough room in the outfield for Gallen to not make that play, and he did a nice job to concentrate and catch it on a little bit of a mini hop in the gap. And as you said, Arm, Cotuit struggling right now, just trying to find some way to find some green out there in the outfield.
So Matt Mervis now, another left-handed hitter, takes a first pitch fastball right down Broadway, strike 1, 0-1. Gonzalez stands on first base, likely to stay stationary with the Kettleers chasing 6, but you never know with Coach Roberts at the helm. Loves to play aggressive small ball. Obviously a 6-run lead, or a 6-run deficit rather, not the time. The 0-1 to Murph. Line drive into right field, that's a base hit. Gonzalez rounds second, but he'll hold up there. The Kettleers have 2 aboard now with 1 out. And it's Casey Schmidt who doubled back in the second. The Kettleers have a lot of outs to work with here. Still just 1 away in the bottom of the 4th. Trying to chip away. That was just a second hit of the game for Matt Mervis. The only other hit is Casey Schmidt, who doubled in the second. He's 1 for 1. The right-handed hitting third baseman awaits a pitch from McCullough, who now comes out of the stretch and comes set at the belt. Kicks and deals a first pitch fastball high, 1-0. Schmidt second on the ball club with 30 hits now on the season. Second to only Nick Gonzalez, who stands out there at second base with 41. Parker Chavers comes in at third with 28. The 1-0 to Schmidt. In the dirt, gets past the catcher Winkle. And both runners will advance, 2 runners in scoring position now. Casey Schmidt has an RBI opportunity and a 2-0 count. Schmidt batting from the right side here. The 2-0 count, looking to get the Kettleers on the scoreboard. Finally here in the 4th inning, they trail 6-0. 2-0, big swing at a low fastball, fouls it off of the leg of the catcher Winkle. It's 2-1. Schmidt 303 with runners in scoring position this season. He's picked up 13 RBI in 33 chances, including 1 home run. He's got 14 and 15 standing out there on the bases right now with a 2-1 count. The pitch. Lifted into the infield, won't be deep enough to score the run. The shortstop will grab it for out number 2, and an unproductive out there by Casey Schmidt. Schmidt not able to cash in there on the RBI opportunity. He has been good in those situations all year. And now Cody Pasek is the last hope with 2 outs here, 2 in scoring position. The Kettleers still trying to get on the board. First pitch to Pasek, misses low, 1-0. McCullough's only walked 1, but he has thrown 21 of his 50 pitches as balls, as that's yanked foul. There's 29 strikes, 21 balls, and Pasek will need a new piece of lumber after that hit the end of his bat. McCullough has 26 strikeouts in 20 2/3 innings this season. Has 3 so far today. Picked up the big out there on Casey Schmidt to make it 2 away with 2 on. Nick Gonzalez stands on third. He walked. Mervis on second. He singled. Pasek comes back with a new piece of lumber and gets ready for the 1-1 pitch. Harwich picked up right where they left off. Of course, that last game that was supposed to be finished here was a 12-0 deficit for the Kettleers as that curveball misses inside 2-1. It ended up being washed out, Sam, but a break for the Kettleers that they're not taking advantage of so far.
Yeah, and they're halfway back to it, Harwich here with a 6-0 lead.
Strike right down the middle, 2-2. And if you really want to get into it, last 8 innings, it's 18-0 in favor of Harwich if you want to continue that game that was called in the 4th inning.
Ouch. Yeah, don't want to look at it that way, but it's kind of the truth. Only one of these games is going to count, and right now Harwich has got the lead.
The 2-2 to Pasek. Check swing on a breaking ball. It was in the dirt. Did he go? No, he did not, says Tom Ryberg over there in the B position behind the mound.
Well, the other thing is that the Kettleers had a little bit of a chance with Harwich getting on the board 4-0 through 2. You had plenty of time to make up that deficit, but still nothing doing.
Payoff pitch. That's popped up. Should be out number 3. Weimer coming in. He calls off the infielder and makes the catch for out number 3. The Kettleers strand 2. Not able to cash in with a runner in scoring position opportunity, less than 2 outs, and it's still 6-0 in favor of Harwich. As we'll go into the 5th inning, Sam Niederman will take over. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Cape League Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network, brought to you by Cape Cod Healthcare. Cape Cod Healthcare, expert physicians, quality hospitals, and superior care. Happy Wednesday from Lowell Park, 6-0 Harwich. We're in the top of the 5th. Harwich at the plate with 6, 7, and 8 in the lineup. Dylan Noisy, Chris Lansley, and then Pat Winkle. Chris Farrell still on the hill for Cotuit. He worked the 4th and gave up 2 runs on 2 hits, walking a couple of batters. Harwich added on to their total. An RBI single by Joey Weimer capped off the inning. Kettleers stranded 2 in scoring position in the bottom of the 4th, and it's a 6-0 ball game. Top of the 5th at LP, sun setting down on the third base side. A smaller crowd for a makeup game on a Thursday in Cotuit. Nobody on the first base grandstand side, and here's Dylan Noisy from the right side. He swings and misses through a fastball, strike 1. Noisy 0 for 1, struck out looking back in the 2nd and walked back in the 3rd. Wind up from Farrell, 0-1 fastball, called for a strike at the belt. No balls and 2 strikes. Defense set normally on the infield. Robinson a little shallow in center field. 0-2 fastball just a little bit low. 1 ball and 2 strikes on Noisy. Farrell zones in, starts his windup. 1-2, cued over to first. Knocked down by Mervis on 1 hop, and he's able to recover an underhand to Farrell for out number 1. Noisy grounds out to first to lead off the 5th. 1 down, and here's Chris Lansley, first baseman out of Wake Forest. 0 for 1 today. He walked and scored in the 4-run second, and then grounded into an inning-ending double play in the 3rd. 6-0 Harwich in the 5th. 1 out and the base is empty. Farrell's first pitch, breaking ball, called for a strike at the thighs. 0-1 on Lansley. Farrell 5'11", 190 pounds, a redshirt senior at William & Mary. Misses inside with a fastball to make it 1-1 on Lansley. A native of Great Falls, Virginia. He competes in the Colonial Athletic Association at William & Mary, a university founded all the way back in 1693. Breaking ball on the outside corner, 1-2 on Lansley. It's the second oldest higher education institution. The only one older is Harvard. It was founded back in 1693 after King William and Queen Mary II patented letters for the university. It was right before America got its independence, so pre-1776. And you fast forward to 2019, and they've got a pitcher in the Cape League in Chris Farrell, who's even in the count 2-2 on Lansley.
Doesn't even sound real. Like, it doesn't even sound like that's a real story.
Yeah, it's true, though. 2-2. Fastball chopped on the right side again. Backhand pick by Mervis. He stumbles and tosses high, but it's a good catch by Farrell again for out number 2. Back-to-back groundouts, 3-1 to retire Noisy and Lansley. This one not quite as graceful again for Matt Mervis, but he was able to make the play going to his right on a backhand grab. And they're now 2 down with the bases clear for Pat Winkle, the catcher out of UConn. I lose track a lot of times with those Northeast Patriot League colonial schools. But William & Mary, second oldest higher education institution in the States. Here's a little short ground ball to first. And it just rolls past a chalk foul. Just strike 1 on Winkle. Harwich by 6-0. 4 runs in the second and 2 runs in the 4th. 6 runs on 5 hits and no errors for the Mariners. No runs on 2 hits and 1 error for the Kettleers. Third pitcher on the hill today in Farrell. Winkle's at the plate from the left side. He's reached twice and scored twice. A single in the second and a walk in the 4th. Casey Schmidt plays in on the edge of the grass at third. 0-1. Change up just below the knees. 1 ball and 1 strike. Shadows casting across the diamond at Lowell Park on the left side of the infield. Schmidt is in those shadows. Same thing with Shavers in left. Fastball down and outside. 2 balls and 1 strike on Winkle. Well, Farrell just from the banks of the Potomac River in Great Falls, Virginia. Actually was a golfer along with playing baseball in high school at Flint Hill High School. Wind up in the 2-1. Fastball twisted off, foul on the first base side. 2-2 on Winkle. Farrell's father, David, played at Quinnipiac. Chris with a wide variety of interests, likes fishing and public policy. 6-0 Harwich in the 5th. 2 down and nobody aboard. Farrell winds up with a 2-2. Fastball just tapped foul on the right side. Winkle stays alive.
A lot of the pitchers say that Farrell's the smartest guy out of the pitching staff. You know, William & Mary's a great school. He's also obviously the oldest by a long shot, born in 1996. But they say he's about the smartest guy on the pitching staff, and it's not surprising.
2-2. Breaking ball, tailed on the ground to first. Matt Mervis makes all 3 plays in this inning, this time unassisted, and it's a perfect inning for Chris Farrell. 1-2-3 to retire the side in order here in the top of the 5th, and we go to the bottom of 5. Kettleers get another crack at it, trailing 6-0 against Harwich on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Cape Cod Broadcast Network, sponsored by Curry College, who has 14 NCAA Division III athletic teams. You can read online about the Curry Colonels and their championship success at curry.edu. That's Curry College online at curry.edu. Harwich on top of Cotuit 6-0, bottom of the fifth. Adam Oviedo, Christian Robinson, and then Parker Chavers due up. Bottom of the order against the right-hander Connor McCullough, who shakes off Winkle and then winds up and slings a fastball up at the letters for ball one. Glad you're along with us on a Thursday afternoon in the village of Cotuit. Sam Niederman and Aram Layton here in the Arnold Mycock building right behind home plate. Harwich leads at 6-0, and Connor McCullough evens up the count with a fastball on the outside corner against Oviedo. 1 ball and 1 strike. Oviedo a strikeout back in the second, his only time up so far. Infield plays back and straight up for Harwich. Same thing with the outfield. 1-1. Fastball dusted off low at the ankles. 2 balls and a strike. McCullough has been pretty sharp so far today. 4 scoreless innings, only allowing 2 hits. Ground ball turned off foul. 2-2. He's struck out 3 so far, the right-hander from Kansas State. Ready for his sophomore season. He sat out this past season after transferring from Arkansas. 2-2 on the way. Fastball just fought off foul by Oviedo. He got a piece of it squibbed behind home plate. And the count remains at 2 balls and 2 strikes. McCullough from the northern suburbs of Little Rock, Arkansas. Played football as a quarterback and baseball in high school. Just on the banks of the Arkansas River in Maumelle, Arkansas. Weak grounder right back to the pitcher. McCullough's got it, and he underhands it on to first for out number 1. One man down for the Kettleers at the plate in the bottom of the fifth. Nobody aboard, and now it's Christian Robinson's turn. Center fielder out of Stanford bats from the left side. 0 for 1 today with a fly out to right field. Made good contact on that ball, but was about 15 feet short of a home run. Has not hit one all summer long, or if you go back to his spring with Stanford. This time an opposite field slicer on the first pitch, and that plunks into shallow left field for a single. Christian Robinson with a 1-out base hit, just the 3rd hit of the day for the Kettleers, and maybe Cotuit's got something going here in the bottom of the 5th. Got to start somewhere. Kettleers on the short end of a 6-0 game. Robinson snaps an 0 for 14 streak at the plate. He's aboard at first. And here's Parker Chavers, the number 9 man from the left side. 0 for 1 with a ground out back to second base in the 3rd. McCullough out of the stretch. Fastball low at the ankles. 1 ball and no strikes. Harwich shifts the infield to double play depth. Noisy and Acton squeeze in towards second. Lansley holds on to the runner and Robinson at first. 1-0. Fastball tailed away foul on the left side. 1 ball and 1 strike on Chavers. Harwich posted up a 4 spot in the second. Daniel Cabrera highlighted it with a 2-run double. 2 more came home to score in the 4th. Joey Weimer, the RBI single. 1-on fastball high and away. 2 balls and a strike on Chavers. Mike Roberts trying to offer some encouragement from the third base box, saying, "Come on, buddy," to Parker. McCullough's 2-1. Little line drive right up the middle. Booted by Noisy at short. Late backhand flip to second. He was just able to get Robinson in the nick of time for out number 2. It was a jam short hop liner from the bat of Chavers up the middle behind second base. Noisy funneled it at second base and wasn't able to make the play cleanly. Then was able to flip it on to Acton, who was just able to get Robinson by a step or 2. It was close, but you can mark it down as a 6-4 fielder's choice to retire the lead runner. Chavers aboard at first with 2 outs, and now we're back to the top of the lineup. Here's Joey Loperfido from the left side working on an 0 for 2 day. McCullough at the belt. Pitch 1. Fastball, grounded right side, past a diving Acton and into right field for a single. Chavers goes first to third, and Joey Loperfido keeps the inning moving with his first hit of the ball game.
That's one of those where just you're swinging a hot bat, things are going your way. He tops that ball, but it just sneaks past the diving glove of Corey Acton into right field, but Perfito's been doing a good job of just putting the bat on the ball, and good things happen.
Runners on the corners now for the Kettleers. Ground out by Oviedo to start off the inning. Robinson a single in the shallow left field. Chavers reached on the fielder's choice, 6-4. And then Joey Loperfido a 2-out single to right. Chavers goes first to third. Runners on the corners for Nick Gonzalez. First pitch from McCullough, breaking ball off the plate, ball 1. Gonzalez 0 for 1. He flied out to center field in the first and walked back in the fourth. He was stranded on third base. 6-0 Harwich, bottom 5. Here's the 1-0. Curveball in the dirt, scooped up by Winkle. 2 balls and a strike. 2 balls and no strikes, rather. Gonzalez in a little bit of a mini slump, and now time called on the diamond. Harwich wants to have a mound meeting with the pitching coach. Although when this guy's on a slump, he's still getting on base. He's reached in his last 7 consecutive games. Might have traced this slump back to the All-Star game where he went 0 for 2 and reached on a walk, but hasn't had a little bit of a hit in a while. 0 for 3 yesterday as a hit batsman. Then went 0 for 3 with a walk in the previous game in the tie against Bourne. Even before that, in the game that was called in the 9th inning against Hyannis, a 6-2 defeat for the Kettleers. Nick went 0 for 3 as a hit batsman with a steal. He's 0 for 2 today, or 0 for 1 rather, with that walk, and he's got a chance here to potentially get his team on the scoreboard, down 6-0 against Harwich. Loperfido, the runner, on first. Lansley holds him on. And Chavers rounds off third. No hold from Cavadas. 2-0. Fastball above the letters. 3 balls and no strikes. Gonzalez the only man that McCullough has walked so far this afternoon. Harwich ahead 6-0. Here's a 3-0. Fastball up. That's ball 4. Nick Gonzalez on base again. A 4-pitch walk from McCullough. And the bases are now full of Kettleers for Arajanu at the plate.
It's important for Anu to be patient here. We know McCullough likes to go to that curveball against Anu. Most pitchers have gotten the scouting report. He's a guy that hunts fastballs. But with the bases loaded here, he's in a better spot. He has to make sure that he sees it up and sees a fastball because he has nowhere to put Anu. So he's got to be able to throw him strikes here.
Bases loaded. McCullough works out of the windup and whips in a curveball outside for ball 1. Anu's 0 for 2. He struck out exclusively against that curveball back in the first and flew out to left field on a good drive in the fourth. 6-0 Harwich. Here's the 1-0. Another curve in the dirt. Anu lays off it, 2-0.
That's huge there for Anu. He lays off those 2 curveballs. Now McCullough is backed up against the wall. He can't go to that curveball again. If he does, it's a gutsy pitch. But he's got to fire in a strike here. He has nowhere to put Anu, and it's 2-0 now.
Kettleers trying to mount a rally with 2 outs in the bottom of the 5th. Harwich leads it 6-0. Bases loaded with 2 away. The 2-0. Fastball outside. 3 balls and no strikes on Araj.
Araj is yet to walk this season. You figure he's taken all the way here, but what a time it would be to pick up that first walk and get the Kettleers at least on the board here.
McCullough winds and fires. Fastball right down the heart of the plate for a called strike. 90 miles an hour on that last pitch. The all-star right-hander from Kansas State trying to find a way out of the jam here. The Kettleers have only left 3. Bases loaded for Cotuit with 2 down. 3-1. Fastball grounded out to Acton at second, and he makes the routine play for out number 3. Kettleers leave him loaded. No runs on 2 hits, no errors, and 3 left on base. And we played 5 complete at Lowell Park. Harwich 6 and Cotuit nothing. Be right back in just a moment. This is Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
Corey Acton now leads things off here in the 6th inning. It's still 6-0 in favor of Harwich. 9-1-2 back to the top of the order after Acton with Daniel Cabrera and Chris Galland. Chris Farrell still on the mound for the Kettleers. First pitch, curveball, chopped over to first base. Mervis fields it, takes it himself over to first, and that's 4 straight plays by Matt Mervis over there at first base.
I love it. I love it, man. You got to find something to laugh at in a game like this, right? You're down 6-0 in the 6th inning, but Matt Mervis, 4 in a row. He's a magnet over there at first.
And Mervis just continues to suck those balls up. And now it's back to the top of the order. Left-handed hitter Daniel Cabrera. Let's see if he can make it 5 in a row. First pitch curveball, he was taken all the way. 0-1. Chris Farrell's been pretty good so far. He's only given up the 1 earned run on a pair of hits. Now in his 3rd inning of work. Ground ball foul. 0-2.
I think it might happen again. I think we could see lucky number 5 in a row to Mervis at first. I mean, Cabrera could pull it that way as a left-handed hitter.
I'd love to know what the record for that is in the big leagues. The 0-2. Misses low, a changeup. Would have been a good pitch to pull there, but it missed. A good take there by Daniel Cabrera, and it's 1-2. The major league record can't be more than 5.
Oh, my gosh. No, there's no way.
1-2. Misses away, 2-2.
I mean, I bet you there have been like 3 groundouts to shorten an inning or something like that.
First base is a weird spot to have 4
is.
straight as well. It's not up the middle like you said. We'll see what happens here. 2-2 to Cabrera, the right fielder. He's 1 for 3. Half-hearted swing and a changeup in the dirt. And that's strike 3, 2nd out of the inning.
Well, Chris Farrell has rebounded. That's now 6 consecutive batters that he's gotten out going back to the end of the 4th, and he did give up a couple of runs there, but he has calmed it down ever since that 2-run 4th, and he's at least keeping the Kettleers afloat in a 6-0 deficit.
Now it's Chris Galland who fouls one away, 0-1. At the very least, eating some innings for the Kettleers. Coach Roberts talks about preserving his staff for the postseason, something that he's been very focused on. Sean Sullivan, who was phenomenal just a couple games ago, pitched 7 shutout innings against Bourne. A guy who we probably won't see pitch until the playoffs, Coach Roberts said, is a swing and a miss there from the right-handed hitter Galland. So he's going to save the youngster for the first postseason appearance. We'll see who that is. It could be Wareham. It could be Falmouth. 1 pitch away here from retiring the side. The 0-2 from Farrell. A short hop and hits Pasek in the shoulder. He needs a second here. He takes a few steps towards the first base dugout trying to walk it off. It was a ball that Farrell spiked, bounced up, and it looked like it got Pasek right where the protective gear stops. Right inside there by the shoulder, the left shoulder, as he's moving it back and forth trying to loosen it up. We've seen all season long, catching is just a gritty, tough position, and you get beat up.
Yeah, and Coach Roberts knows that better than anybody else as a former catcher, and he's been very pleased with the defensive improvements from Pasek and the development of Colton Kessler as the 2 catchers on this club. But you're right about his chest gear. I mean, it doesn't really wing out across the upper pectoral muscle to protect him.
1-2, misses away, 2-2. Farrell trying to make it 6 in a row, retired. He worked a 1-2-3 5th inning, 1 pitch away from working a 1-2-3 6th. The swing and a miss. It gets past Pasek, who runs over, grabs it. The throw to first is not in time. A drop 3rd strike will be a base runner here with 2 outs.
A good effort by Cody there. He chugged behind him to try and get that ball. It was well out of his reach to get the runner in Lansley, who was busting it up the line. An unfortunate break for Farrell to get the strikeout, but you keep on going here.
And now it's Nico Cavadas. He was intentionally walked back in the 4th inning. Cavadas is 1 for 2. Picked up a double back in the 1st, an opposite field shot down the left field line. Tied for the league lead with 8 homers. Runner on the move. The throw from Pasek, no throw actually. And a swipe of second base there for Chris Gallant, his 13th of the season.
Hopefully Pasek is okay, because it looked like he double clutched up on that throw. Didn't really want to throw after getting hit a couple of pitches ago up and around his right shoulder, his throwing arm.
Cavadas is tied for the lead with TJ Collette, who homered off the Kettleers yesterday off of Richard Brereton to tie it up. And he crushes one out into center field. Going back is Robinson. He makes the grab. And straight away center field for out number 3. Kettleers able to keep it at 6-0. Chris Farrell has faced just one over the minimum in his last 2 innings. And will go into the home half of the 6th. Kettleers still trying to get on the board here, chasing 6. Chasing 6 here in the 6th inning. The good news for Cotuit, though, is that Connor McCullough's day is done. The new pitcher is Nick Zwack, a southpaw from Xavier, a junior, 6'3", 210 pounds, making his 6th appearance. He's 0-2 with a 4.67 ERA in 17 1/3 innings pitched. He struck out 15 while surrendering 20 hits. We'll get the middle of the order for Cotuit, 4-5-6 with Matt Mervis, Casey Schmidt, and Cody Pasek. The final line for Connor McCullough, a good one today. He's in line for the win. 5 innings pitched, 4 hits, no runs, 2 walks, 3 strikeouts, and he kept the Kettleer order at bay. So Matt Mervis, who singled in his last at-bat, was ultimately stranded in scoring position back in the 4th. Fastball gets the outside corner. Mervis didn't like it. Looks like it was just below the knees there on the outer half. Lefty on lefty matchup here between Zwack and Mervis. Zwack struggled in his last outing, gave up 5 runs against Brewster in 3 2/3 innings. Bender swung on and fouled. Out of play there. 79 miles per hour there on the breaking ball from Zwack. He's made 3 starts this summer, making his 3rd appearance now out of the bullpen. And he's ahead 0-2 here on Mervis with Casey Schmidt waiting on deck. He's 1-for-2. Cotuit has no runs on 4 hits. Harwich has 6 runs on just 5 hits. The 0-2. Got him looking on the outside corner, strike 3. So Mervis sent down looking for the first out of the 6th, and now it's Casey Schmidt with 1 away. Harwich came into the game just 6-12 on the road. 11-7 at home, but they're looking to improve that record, make it 7-12 now on the road. They're well on their way, up 6 here with 1 out in the 6th. The Kettleers have been 9-6 at home. They've enjoyed playing at Lowell Park, but not today on this makeup game. It's been our third try to try and get this game between the two teams, as that one's grounded over to third base. Cavada scoops it, takes a few shuffle steps, fires on to first for out number 2. This game was originally supposed to be played almost 2 weeks ago. We were ready to play it again on Monday. It got rained out one more time and decided to move it to Thursday. Both teams had today open, and it's been a beautiful day today, not a cloud in the sky. And about mid-70s, just a beautiful day all across the Cape, especially in Cotuit. A nice little breeze, and it's been a tough one, though, here for the Kettleers, with 2 away here in the 6th. Misses away, 1-0 on Cody Pasek. Pasek 0 for 2 with a pair of flyouts. Flew out to right and flew out to center. The 1-0 to Pasek. Misses low, 2-0. Pasek bats from the left side. The all-star catcher who homered in that game. Still looking for his first regular season extra base hit. Ahead 2-0 here on Zwack. Fastball up, 3-0. Kettleers looking to try and get something going here in the bottom of the 6th. They've had their first 2 batters retired with Mervis and Schmidt. But Pasek's ahead 3-0 here. Pours in a strike. Pasek taking all the way. It's 3-1. Pasek hitting .236 coming into this one. He's ahead 3-1 here. The pitch. Swing and a miss. Blew a fastball by him. 90 on the gun there from Zwack, and it's 3-2. Shadows cast across the infield. Sun only shining on Corey Acton there at second base. As for the outfield, the right fielder in Daniel Cabrera, the only outfielder remaining in the sun. The 3-2. Misses low, ball 4. Pasek gets on base to extend this 6th inning. That'll bring up Adam Oviedo, who's 0 for 2. Ovi's been swinging a better bat as of late. Yet to record a hit today, but he's hitting .300 in his last 10 games. 10 for 30. Or 9 for 30, rather. The first pitch to Ovi. Check swing on a breaking ball, not able to hold up. Strike 1. Zwack now working out of the stretch for the first time in this inning. Pasek stands on first base. He comes set at the belt. Kicks and deals the 0-1. Misses inside. A good block there by Winkle. That keeps Pasek over at first, 1-1. Kettleers were shut out yesterday. They yet to score so far through 5 2/3. Harwich has had the Kettleers number the last couple times they've seen them. If you want to count that washed out game just a couple weeks ago here. 1-1 to Ovi. The pitch. Fouled straight back. It's 1-2. The Southpaws whack 1 pitch away from sending it into the 7th. Still ahead 6-0. The Kettleers just 4 hits so far today. That matches the total they had yesterday over at Brewster. The 1-2. That's lifted into right field. Should be playable for Cabrera, who comes in towards the line, makes the grab, fighting the sun. For out number 3, 6 shutout innings here for Harwich. And we'll go into the 7th. The Kettleers still chasing 6 runs.
Welcome back to Cotuit. Let's do our Cape League out-of-town scoreboard. 6-0 Harwich here, top of the 7th inning. One game done in the doubleheader between Bourne and Hyannis. It was a final in 7 innings, and Bourne wins it 4-2. Game 2 of that doubleheader just underway at Doran Park, and Hyannis has an early lead on the road, 2-0 in the bottom of the first. So with that first result, Bourne picks up another game on the Harbor Hawks to make it a 7-game lead. And, that's going to be tough for Hyannis to get out of that little deficit there. If Bourne does win this one, they would clinch a postseason spot with the doubleheader sweep. Scoreless between YD and Chatham. They're about to get started at Veterans Field. And also scoreless between Falmouth and Orleans. They'll be underway in just a moment at Eldridge Park. 6-0 Harwich here. Kettleers back in the field for the top of the 7th. Let's go back to Arm with the call.
So now it's Joey Weimer Jr. Thank you for the updates, Sam, around the league. Kettleers can't do much scoreboard watching right now. They have not been able to control what's been in front of them. They've struggled the last couple ball games, and a first pitch bender to Joey Weimer is a strike. Weimer's 1 for 3. A single back in the 4th inning. That's all he has to show for it today. But he crushes one back into center field. That's a second hit of the ball game. 2 for 4 now for Weimer. He leads off the 7th inning with a line shot up the middle. So the all-star Weimer picks up his second hit. And now it's Michael Ludwig, the DH. He's 0 for 2. He walked in the 3rd. Ludwig bats from the left side. A pickoff over to first base. It gets away from Mervis. It looked like it hit Weimer there in the back. All the Mariner players rocking the stirrups today. Blue and red jerseys. A navy blue with the red Harwich lettering across. Red number on the back. The stirrups are blue and red as well with a tinge of white. First pitch. Fastball strike at the knees, 0-1. Farrell's been solid in the mop-up duty for the Kettleers so far today. 3 innings pitched. He's just given up 1 earned run and struck out 3. Time called there by Ludwig. Needed another second. Pasek still looks like he's a little banged up behind home plate. A lot of balls have been hit him in the chest area. A lot of short hops from Kyle Nicholas to Evan Justice to now Chris Farrell. It's been a tough day behind the dish for Pasek. A ground ball up to shortstop. This could be 2, but it bounces up and over the head of Oviedo. A crazy hop. The throw comes into 3rd, and Weimer slides in just ahead of the throw. That looked like it was going to be a tailor-made double play, but it hit the lip of the grass there and hopped up right by the face of Oviedo. Gets into center field. We'll see how that's scored. It looks like it's going to be an error for now, but I don't think Ovi touched that one. Nonetheless, runners on the corners now. A big break there for Ludwig and Harwich. What should have been a double play turns out to have runners on the corners now and nobody out.
I personally disagree with that scoring decision to make it an error on Oviedo. It was a tricky hop off the mound, and it whizzed past his ear into center field. And then Joey Weimer Jr. was running for the hills to take third base on the same play. An unlucky break for the Kettleers in the field, and it's been that kind of day here at Lowell Park, down 6-0 in the 7th.
And now it's runners on the corners, nobody out for Dylan Noisy. A short hop there to Pasek, a good job to block it. Keeps it in front, it's 1-0. Noisy's 0 for 2 with a walk. He walked back in the 3rd inning. The shortstop from Texas Tech bats from the right side. Hitting just .207 on the season. 11 for 53, 2 of those hits home runs. The 1-0. Ground ball over to Mervis. He scoops it up, checks on third base, runs over to first, and just tags the bag unassisted ahead of Noisy, who was busting it down the line.
Okay, that last play right there, it looked like a video game play from MLB The Show. Mervis checks on the runner and then almost glitches back to first. Just was able to turn off his foot, some good athletic change of direction to make sure that he got to the bag in time to beat Noisy, who almost beat him. It could have been a disaster, but the Kettleers come out of it with 1 out and nobody came home to score.
He went from nonchalant to urgently trying to get back to first base really quickly. It's a good way to describe it, Sam. But he does make the play. Mervis has been a wall over there at first today. First pitch to Pasek, gets away from the catcher, and into the backstop, a third wild pitch that'll score a run for Harwich in this ball game, and the Kettleers have not made the Mariners work for it today.
No third wild pitch to produce a run, and the pitching just has not been sharp in the zone from the Kettleers so far this afternoon. A lot of wild pitches, a lot of walks, and unfortunately Harwich finds a way again to get themselves on the board, now up by a touchdown, 7-0.
And that'll slide Ludwig over to third base. So now Lansley at the plate with an opportunity to make it 8-0 in favor of the Mariners. A team that came into the game second to last in the Cape with 131 runs scored and a .228 team batting average, but they really haven't had to hit the ball much today, just 6 hits, but 7 runs thanks to the Kettleers' struggles on the mound. Fastball misses up and in, 2-0. Lansley's 0 for 2. He walked and scored in that 4-run second inning rather. Grounded into an inning-ending double play in the third and grounded out in the fifth. The Demon Deacon bats from the right side, has an RBI opportunity with Ludwig, his teammate at Wake Forest, on third base. A check swing on a breaking ball. Yes, he did, says the home plate umpire Mike Rabideau, calling it on the swing of Lansley. So now it's 2-1 to the right-handed hitter. Lansley playing first base today. Played a little bit of outfield as well for Wake Forest. He nubs one that just tails foul down the first base line. And the way the Kettleers game has been going so far today, you just had a weird feeling that that one might just trickle fair. But Chris Farrell and his ball club catch a break there. It was a one-arm swing there from Lansley just to get a piece of it, and it dribbled towards the bag. Matt Mervis playing a few steps towards second base, so a little bit of room down the line there. The infield is drawn in. 2-2 misses high. It's 3-2. Lansley just 13 for 66. That's a 196 batting average. 1 home run, 7 driven in. It's 3-2 now with the infield drawn in. The payoff pitch to Lansley. A curveball lifted out into center field. Not too deep. There should be a play at the plate if he tags. A bluff there from third base. A strong throw comes in from Robinson. It did take Pasek up the line a little bit. A good job to smother it. And that keeps the score at still 7-0. A good job by Farrell to induce the weak fly ball. So now it's the catcher, Pat Winkle. Bats from the left side. Winkle's 1 for 2. He scored 2 runs in this ball game. Both times he's been aboard. Scored on a single in the second and walked and later scored in the fourth. 2 away here. Infield now back with the runner on third, and that's lifted out into center field. Going back is Robinson. He turns around, ranges over into left center and makes the grab for out number 3. But Harwich adds 1 more to make it 7-0 here at Lowell Park. A blowout. And the Kettleers only have 9 outs to spare. We'll go into the home half of the 7th. They'll try and chip away. You're listening to Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. 8-9-1 for this Kettleers offense in the bottom of the seventh. They're chasing 7 runs, an offense that has not scored a run in now 22 innings. It's been a rough stretch for Cotuit, and they'll try and score here against Nick Zwack in his second inning of work. He worked a scoreless sixth. Christian Robinson, who's 1 for 2, gets his first look at the southpaw Zwack. First pitch swinging, a chopper right back to the pitcher. Zwack flips it on over to first. 1 pitch, 1 out here to start off the 7th inning. That'll bring up the 9-hitter Parker Chavers, batting in the 9 spot for the first time this season. He's been in a bit of a slump. He struck out 15 times in his last 10 games. His average has dipped down to 261 coming into this one, and he's 0 for 2 today. First pitch curveball up and in, 1-0. Chavers bats from the left side from Coastal Carolina. 5 home runs this summer. 28 for 107. He's driven in 17 runs. The 1-0. Tugged away there. It's 2-0. Chavers looking to get something going for the Kettleers. They're still down 7-0 here with only 8 outs to spare. The 2-0. That one misses away. It's 3-0. Chavers hitting just .242 over his last 10 games. 8 for 33. He does have 1 home run and has driven in 5 runs. 3-0. That's a strike on the outer half. 3-1. On deck is Joey Loperfido. He's 1 for 3. He's been swinging a good bat for the Kettleers despite the 22-inning drought. 3-1 is fouled away over the third base grandstand. It'll make things full here to Parker Chavers. Nick Gonzalez waits in the hole. He walked his last 2 at-bats. Chavers trying to set the table for the top of the order. He awaits a payoff pitch here from Zwack. Zwack out of the windup, kicks and deals the 3-2. That's poked foul into the left field line, but running over and making the catch is Gowland for out number 2 rather. So quickly 2 outs here for the Kettleers. Loperfido the last chance here in the 7th inning to try to make something happen. Lope gets his first look at the southpaw Zwack, who's recorded 5 outs without surrendering a run so far. He's yet to surrender a hit as well. First pitch curveball inside corner, strike 1 to Joey Loperfido. Loperfido's up to his average right around the 300 mark. He's at 295 after that last base hit in the 5th. The 0-1. Curveball up and in. He tried to take a big swing at it, fouled it away. It's 0-2. Shadows across nearly the entire field here at Lowell Park. Just a little sun shining on the right fielder, Daniel Cabrera. Everyone else is nice and shaded on this 75-degree day in Cotuit. 0-2 to Loperfido, the leadoff hitter. The pitch. Chopped foul. Will do nothing in 2 again.
Well, Arm, if you're Joey Loperfido, you just try and fight and scrap for any kind of way you can get on base here. It would be potentially the 3rd 3-and-out for the Kettleers at the plate, or 1-2-3 inning. It's like a 3-and-out in football, and you don't want to have too many of those. 3 and 7 innings, not going to set yourself up for success.
0-2, swing and a miss. Waved out a curveball, strike 3. Another 1-2-3 inning for Harwich against the Kettleers, who are now 23 innings in a row without plating a run. They've got 6 outs to spare. Sam will take you home for those 6 outs. 7-0 here at Lowell Park.
Down 7-0 against the Harwich Mariners, and a new pitcher on for Cotuit, fourth one of the afternoon. Beck Way enters the game, 6'3" from Mechanicsburg, PA, and the Division II school Belmont Abbey. He's coming on once again, and he's about to relieve Chris Farrell, who works 4 innings, gives up 3 runs, 2 of them earned, 3 hits, 1 walk, and 3 strikeouts. Farrell comes in and cleaned up a little bit. It was Kyle Nicholas who started out 2 innings. He gave up 4 runs on 3 hits. Evan Justice worked an inning and walked 2, got out of it scoreless. But Farrell, definitely a bright spot arm. He was able to retire some batters after giving up a run in the 4th, and he ended up giving up another run in the 7th unearned.
He did a good job in a blowout like this to just eat some innings. We talked about how much Coach Roberts wants to preserve that bullpen going into the postseason in this tough stretch we have ahead. And he did his job. Ultimately, those 2 runs don't look like they're going to matter much unless Cotuit puts up a 5 spot. And I thought Farrell has improved a lot over his last 2 outings, and that's got to be good for the Kettleers going into the final stretch here, that they know that they have a guy that can eat some innings in these types of situations.
Chris Farrell goes 4. Now it's Beck Way's turn. The right-hander out of Belmont Abbey. It's his 10th appearance on the year. 2 wins opposed to 2 losses with a 2.79 earned run average. 7-0 Harwich in the 8th. Here's Corey Acton, the number 9 batter. And he takes a slider low and in for ball number 1. 9-1-2 due up for Harwich. Acton has reached twice in 3 plate appearances. He has scored 2 runs as a hit batsman. He singled in the 4th and then grounded out to first back in the 6th. Foul ball away, 1 ball and 1 strike. 7 runs on 7 hits and no errors for Harwich. No runs on 4 hits and 2 errors for the Kettleers. Harwich jumped on the board early, a 4 spot in the 2nd, powered by the 2-run double from Daniel Cabrera. They added 2 in the 4th and 1 in the 7th. Opposite field liner into shallow left, and Parker Chavers dives in and makes the play for out number 1. Parker Chavers spots it up, gets a little green on his uniform, and makes a nice play for out number 1 here in the 8th.
Good redemption there by Chavers. He had that mistake earlier in the ball game. This time he's able to dive and make a nice little grab there, stealing out.
Well, he had the error that came back in the 7th, or excuse me, the 4th. And that ended up being one of the 2 runs that scored. So 1 down for Beckway on the hill, and he's back up against the top of the lineup for Harwich. Daniel Cabrera back at the plate. 1 for 4 today. Bounced out to second in the 1st, a 2-run double, and a run scored in the 2nd. Strikeouts in the 4th and the 6th. And 1 fastball slung inside. 1 ball and 1 strike. Sun setting behind the trees on the third base side. Most of the diamond is dark, with the exception of some sunlight streaks in right field. 1-1. Swing and a miss on a slider. Cabrera is down in a 1-2 hole. 7-0 Harwich. 1 out and the base is empty in the top of the 8th. Casey Schmidt backs up at third base with a 1-2 count. Way closed off out of the stretch. The pitch, swing and a miss. Got him on a slider downstairs. And it's Beck Way who gets the first 2 batters of this inning. This time a strikeout of Daniel Cabrera, his 3rd of the day. Way off to a quick start out of the bullpen. Harwich has control up 7-0 on Cotuit. 2 outs and nobody aboard in the 8th inning. And it's a pinch hitter that comes on for Harwich in the number 2 spot. Normally would be Chris Galland. Instead, it's a right-handed bat that comes up to the plate. Max Morosic from Texas Tech climbs in. He comes in for Galland, who finishes today 0 for 3, reached on a walk and struck out. Morosic, a native of Amarillo, Texas, 5 hits in 44 at-bats, 4 walks to just 21 strikeouts in 16 games this year. Weighs 1-1, biting slider off the plate. Got him to chase it, 1-2. Beck's been looking strong here in this 8th inning. Can he get 1 more strike to record the final out? Defense backs him up, straight up. 7-0 Harwich, 1-2. Slider nipped away foul, and Morosic stays alive. Morosic did come on last night in Game 2 of the doubleheader against Orleans. Went 0 for 3 with a walk and a strikeout and a stolen base. 1-2 again. Slider hung in there on the inside corner for strike number 3. It's Beckway who works a 1-2-3 inning out of the bullpen for the Kettleers. He gets back-to-back strikeouts to cap off the visiting half of the 8th. On to the bottom of 8 on the other side of this break, it's Cotuit Kettleers baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Park, Kettleers losing 7-0 against Harwich. Nick Zwack, the left-hander out of Xavier, on for his 3rd inning of work. Connor McCullough set up the table with 5 shutout innings, and it's been Zwack who's worked the 6th, 7th, and 8th. He's retired 6 of the 7 he's faced, with a couple of strikeouts and 1 walk. Kettleers at the plate with 2, 3, and 4. Nick Gonzalez, Arajanu, and then Matt Mervis. Sam Niederman, Arm Layton, Jacob Cohen, Josh Rothstein, and our entire Kettleers media crew hanging out with you on a Thursday at LP. Zwack winds up and delivers a curveball right down the middle for strike 1. Make sure that you join us tomorrow here at Lowell Park. The Kettleers take on the Wareham Gatemen. That's a 5 p.m. first pitch at Always in Cotuit. Pregame show starts at 4:45 on YouTube, and we get going on the radio at 4:50. 1 ball and 1 strike on Gonzalez. He's 0 for 1 with a pair of walks. Walked in the 4th and was stranded on 3rd, and walked again in the 5th and was stranded on 1st. Kettleers have left 7 runners today. 7-0 Harwich in the 8th. Zwack's 1-1. Change up down and in. 2 balls and no strikes. This is the first of 3 home games in the next 4 for the Kettleers. Home against Wareham tomorrow. On the road against Chatham, the first-place team of the East, on Saturday. That is a 7 p.m. first pitch. And then back home on Sunday against Whitey. 2-1, opposite field liner, and that's a shot into right field for a base hit. Nick Gonzalez puts a nice piece on that one, and he gets aboard with a leadoff single in the 8th.
Good job by Gonzo to go the other way on that pitch. It was a fastball on the outer half. He just took it where it was pitched and drove it the other way. A nice swing.
Gonzalez on first, nobody out. Lansley ready to hold him there. Zwack works out of the stretch for the 2nd time in his 3rd inning of work, and here's the switch hitter Arajanu, who turns it over to the right side of the plate. He looks at a changeup low. Gonzalez on the run, throw down from Winkle, a couple of touches late, and Gonzalez racks up a stolen base to get into scoring position with nobody away in the 8th. It was a low changeup, and Winkle struggled to collect it behind the plate. His throw was late, and Gonzalez moves up to 2nd. 1 ball and no strikes on Anu. 0 for 3 today. Most notably, a ground out to 2nd with the bases loaded in the 5th. Harwich by 7. 7-0. Nobody holds Gonzalez. 1-0. Breaking ball just on the outside corner for strike 1. 1-1 on Anu. A 2-time draft pick by the Boston Red Sox. He was selected in the 16th round of this year's past draft. Opted to stay in Cotuit and keep on his college ball track. He's going to Kentucky in the fall. 1-1 fouled away, 1-2. Zwack, the lefty on the mound, 6'3", 205. native of Monticello, Minnesota. Played both hockey and football at Monticello High School. Was a quarterback, and it makes sense that he's a pitcher here in the Cape League. Gonzalez a single and a steal. He's on second. Nobody out. Zwack holds at the belly button. Now the 1-2. Fastball, hot shot over to second. Acton makes the play for out number 1. Anu with the ground out to advance the base runner up to third base. And now it's Matt Mervis, who's 1 for 3 on the day with a pair of strikeouts and a single sandwiched in between back in the 4th. Left-handed batter out of Duke. Kettleers may be down 7-0, but a chance at least to work on what Coach was trying to get the players to do earlier in BP, and that's hit the ball in the air with a runner on third and less than 2 outs.
You'd love to break that 23-inning scoring drought.
Mervis takes a curveball on the inside part of the plate for a strike. The Kettleers were shut out last night, 3-0 against Brewster, and then tied Bourne 2-2 the day before. That was a game in which the Kettleers scored their 2 runs in the first inning, didn't score any in the next 7. That game called in 8 innings due to darkness. 0-1 fastball, lined on the ground to short, picked up by Noisy. Sidearm sling over to first for out number 1, or out number 2 rather, but that gets the job done to score a run. Matt Mervis produces an RBI ground out to score Gonzalez, and the Kettleers have made it a 7-1 game in the 8th inning.
Well, there goes the drought at least. Kettleers get on the board. Unfortunately, they still are chasing 6. The crazy thing is they have just 1 less hit than Harwich. They have 5, Harwich has 6, but the Cotuit pitching staff gave Harwich a lot of free runs with wild pitches and walks and you name it. It's been a struggle for Cotuit. Did not make Harwich earn it today.
The Kettleers pitching staff has walked 5, and 3 runs out of the 7 that have scored so far today for Harwich have come home on wild pitches. So an RBI ground out by Mervis. 7-1 now. 2 outs, bases clear, and here's Casey Schmidt, and he takes a fastball for a strike. Schmidt's 1 for 3. He upped his on-base streak to 16 games with a double back in the 2nd, popped out to short in the 4th, and grounded out to 3rd back in the 6th against Zwack. 0-1, tailing slider inside and in the dirt. 1 ball and 1 strike. Soft sunset in Cotuit. Blue sky fades into a peach color in the distance. Zwack out of the windup. Fastball low. 2 balls and a strike. Two-1. Fastball pulled on the ground at 3rd. Low backhand pick by Cavadas. He rears up and makes a strong bullet throw across the way for out number 3. A 1-2, actually, run scores in this inning for the Kettleers. 1 run on 1 hit. Nobody else left on base and no errors as well. Matt Mervis with an RBI ground out to snap the scoreless streak at 23 for the Kettleers. And that's all she wrote for the 8th inning of play. 7-1 Harwich. We're on to the 9th on the other side of this break. This is Cotuit Kettleers baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network. Harwich. He's a biggin'. Nico Cavadas, the big slugger out of Notre Dame. He leads things off. 3, 4, and 5 for Harwich against the right-hander Beck Way. We are in the 9th at Lowell Park, and it's Harwich 7. The Kettleers 1. Cavadas for the left side. He has reached twice in 4 plate appearances. A double in the first, grounded out to the pitcher in the second, an intentional walk in the 4th, and a fly out to center his last time up in the 6th. Beck Way starts him off with a fastball outside. 1 ball and no strikes to the Cape League home run leader. He's got 8 of them. 1-0 slider on the outside corner. 1-1. Looks like Beck's starting to master that slider a little bit. He got 2 strikeouts in his first inning of work back in the 8th.
Showing a good feel for it and setting up the fastball. Maybe all he needed was to pitch into a pressureless situation.
Check swing, a half-hearted swing from Cavadas on another slider just inside, and that's strike number 2. Way gets ahead, 1 ball and 2 strikes on the Granger, Indiana native. Way slings it, fastball up at the chin, 2-2. Some of the crowd filed out after the last inning wrapped up. The Kettleers did get on the board, an RBI ground out by Matt Mervis to score Nick Gonzalez. That makes it 7-1. Cavadas a towering fly ball down the line and right, and that's well foul. He's still alive with a 2-2 count. Ways 2-2. Fastball just speared outside. Full count now on Cavadas. He's got his signature green and gold Under Armour Notre Dame cleats. Bending the knee, 3-2. Jacked into the air, deep right field. Cavadas has 8 home runs. He's got his 9th here at Lowell Park in the 9th inning. Nico Cavadas with a cherry on top for Harwich. A solo blast to lead off the 9th, and that makes it an 8-1 ball game.
Pretty crazy to see him crush that one after the swing he took 2 pitches before. He checked to swing on a ball that was already in the catcher's glove. And you talk about what makes a good hitter, adjustments. He makes the adjustment there and ends up crushing one out into right field.
Indeed. That's the last swing he'll ever have against the Kettleers in 2019. This is the only regular season meeting, or the last regular season meeting between the two clubs, unless they somehow met in the Cape League title series. So it's Cavadas who makes his mark. He drops that one over the right field wall to make it an 8-1 game, his 9th home run of the season. We saw TJ Collette last night try and share the home run thrown with him with the go-ahead 2-run home run for Brewster in the 7th. Well, Cavadas says, move on over, it's mine. He's got his 9th home run here in the 9th inning. 8-1 Harwich, nobody on, nobody out. And Joey Weimer's back at the plate with a 2-ball no-strike count. 2 for 4 with a pair of singles his last time up, including an RBI in the 5th. And he turns on one, corking it down the left field line, but way foul. Lumbered it up, might have broken his bat too. He looks down at it, a little bit of a smile. Looks like he'll stay with the same piece of wood. It's a 2-1 now. Cavadas the home run. Here's a 2-1. Slider just goes back inside, did not run over the plate, and it's a 3-1 count. Weimer singled and did score on another wild pitch back in the 7th. Way whips in a fastball, and it just gets the outside corner. And that makes it a 3-2 count, but the home plate umpire, Mike Robideau, rang him up. And Weimer knew it was only strike 2 the whole way. He was not leaving that box.
It's been a long one for Robideau, too.
It's been a long, long day. Here's a 3-2. Fastball up and in. Ball never lies. That's ball 4. First walk from Beck Way. And Weimer's aboard with nobody out in the 9th.
Well, there you go. You go from being rung up to a free pass. A big change of emotions pretty quickly, and now Weimer's on first.
Way tagged the outside corner with a 3-1 fastball to level up the count. Mike Robideau, the home plate umpire, rung up Weimer, but that was only a 3-2 count, and then the next pitch ran up and in. So it's a runner on first for Harwich with nobody away, and Mike Ludwig fouls one off over the third base grandstand. No balls and 1 strike on the left-handed batting DH from Wake. 0 for 3 today, a strikeout, a walk, A ground out to first, and he reached on an error at short back in the 7th on a hard hit ball off the middle. "8-1 Harwich in the 9th. Cavadas bashes his 9th home run of the year. 1-1 to Ludwig down in the dirt. 2-1. Fastball over the plate for a strike. That evens up the count on Ludwig. 2-2 now. Way looks back over his left shoulder at the runner, and Weimer held on by Mervis. 2-2. Fastball chopped to first. Mervis picks in foul ground, and we'll do a 2-2 again. So we've seen a little bit of everything today. The Kettleers experimented a bit with Kyle Nicholas as a starting pitcher. He only lasted 2 innings, walked a couple, gave up 4 runs on 3 hits. Cotuit trailed 4-0 heading into the 4th. Harwich added 2 more against Chris Farrell, who worked 4 innings of middle relief. 2-2 slider down and in on Ludwig. 3 balls and 2 strikes. 1 more run came home in the 7th, and then Nico Cavadas added a solo home run here in the 9th for good measure, and that's made it an 8-1 ball game. Payoff pitch again. High fastball fouled away at 96 miles an hour. Ludwig stays alive. Both teams have 8 more games to go, including this one, which is heading towards a Harwich 8-1 victory. Leg lift in the 3-2. Fastball right down the middle, plunked into center field for a base hit. Cavadas a home run, Weimer a walk, and now a single for Ludwig, his first hit of the game. 8th hit of the day for Harwich. And the train keeps on moving for the Mariners on the road. Here's Dylan Noisy with 2 on and nobody out.
Way looked really sharp in the 8th inning, but looks like he's hit a little bit of a wall here to start off the 9th, and now has 2 aboard, needs to get Noisy. Struggling to get ahead of hitters like he did back in the 8th.
Noisy from the right side, 0 for 3 with a walk. First pitch slider, little high and in. 1 ball and no strikes. First and second with nobody away. 8-1 ball game favoring Harwich in the 9th. Way stands tall out of the stretch. Comes closed off the stretch and deals in a fastball high. 2-0. Next up for Cotuit. Wareham at home in a key division battle. Harwich hosts White E tomorrow, going back to White House Field. 2-0 pitch, just a little high above the belt. 3 balls and no strikes. 8 runs on 8 hits and no errors for Harwich on the road. 1 run on 5 hits and 2 errors for the Kettleers at home. Nobody holds the runners. 2 on with nobody out. Way needs a strike, and he gets it on the outer half of the plate. 3-1 now on Noisy. We talked a little bit about the last time that these two teams tried to play this game at Lowell Park, which was rained out, and it was 12-0 Harwich in the 4th. Well, more of the same today. There's a strike on the outside corner. Noisy thought he had ball 4, a touch high, but it did catch the outer part of the zone, according to Mike Robideau behind the plate. And it's a full count now.
I think as the darkness creeps in, we'll see the zone expand a little bit here. And that was a good example. That pitch was right up in the letter. It's like you called it, Sam.
2 on with nobody away. 3-2. Fastball way up and in, and that's another walk to load up the bases. Mike Roberts comes out of the dugout. He wants to chat with Beckway, and Cody Pasek quickly jogs out onto the mound to join him. It was smooth sailing for Beck in the 8th, his first inning of work. He worked a 1-2-3 inning with 2 strikeouts. Then he ran into a buzzsaw with Nico Cavadas to lead off the 9th, a home run over right. A walk to Weimer, a single by Ludwig on a 3-2 pitch, and another 3-2 pitch missed inside on Noisy, and that walks the bases loaded. 7th walk of the day, given out by a Cotuit pitcher. Chris Lansley, the next batter. Lansley 0 for 3. Walked and scored in the 2nd. Grounded into a double play at short to end the 3rd. Grounded back to the pitcher in the 5th, and also flew out to center his last time up in the 7th. He stands on his bat with a hand on his hip and his one leg crossed over to the right like the Boston Celtics guy, waiting on Mike Roberts to wrap up the mound visit. The 3rd mound visit today by the Kettleers. And Coach comes back to the dugout ledge on the third base side. A lot of the crowd has filed out at LP. Kettleers on the verge of potentially making it 4 consecutive games without a win. First pitch breaking ball on the outside corner and a swing and a miss from Lansley to go down in the count 0-1. Arm told you a minute ago that the sun's been going down. We're losing a little bit of light at Lowell Park. 0-1. Breaking ball tailed in the air to right. And Gonzalez is able to get under it at second base for out number 1. All the runners stay put. And here comes an ex-batter, Pat Winkle, the catcher from UConn. Lansley flies to second for the first out of the frame. Bases loaded in the 9th. 8-1 Harwich over Cotuit. And Pat Winkle's at the plate from the left side. He's reached twice in 4 tries, a single walk, and 2 runs scored. Flew out to center field his last time up in the 7th. Way from the stretch. Slider on the inside part of the plate for a strike. 0-1. Noisy on first, Ludwig on second, Weimer on third. 0-1. Fastball fouled back into the parking lot, right by the batting cages. 0-2 now on the batter and Winkle. Those batting cages are right behind the Kettleer kitchen. It's one of the most in-depth setups at a ballpark in the Cape League. You've got the kitchen, the clubhouse slash concession area, and a great grandstand. There's a strike right down Broadway. A good slider from Way again. He goes back to that breaking pitch to strike out the batter and Winkle for out number 2. And, of course, we have this beautiful press box behind home plate. The best in the league by a long way. 3 different booths, our booth for the radio and live stream broadcast, and then the public address booth for the official scorer right next to us, and then the Lowell Park Signature VIP suite a couple of doors down the hall to our right. Next up, Corey Acton. He's reached twice in 4 tries and has also scored 2 runs. The bottom of the order has quietly done some damage for Harwich. Flew out to left field back in the 8th. 0-1, wave and a miss on a 93-mile-an-hour heater. 0-2. Nico Cavadas tacked on another run for Harwich with a solo home run to right to begin this 9th inning. The bases loaded after 2 walks, 2 strikes on Acton with 2 outs. Way ready at the shoulders. He deals. Fastball inside, and it clips Acton. Acton's a hit batsman, and that trots home the 9th run of the game for Harwich.
Acton's been bailed out of a pair of at-bats today where he's been behind with 2 strikes and he gets just clipped by a ball. That time Way's ahead 0-2 and just tugs a fastball inside, clips him on the jersey, and that just can't happen.
It grazed his jersey. Acton awarded first base with an 0-2 count. Second time he's been hit today, like Aram told you. And that scores Weimer from third. So the carousel keeps moving. Here's the leadoff man, Daniel Cabrera. He takes on the outside for 1 ball and no strikes. Cabrera 1 for 5. It's his 6th time at the plate. He has struck out his last 3 times. Wave and a miss on a fastball away, 1-1. Did have the 2-run double and a run scored in the 2nd. An all-star for Harwich and a former USA Collegiate National Team member last summer. Bases still loaded with 2 outs. 9-1 Harwich in the 9th. Leg lift in the 1-1. Breaking ball fouled away. And Way once again 1 strike away from getting out of this tough 9th inning. It's a 1-2 count.
And Daniel Cabrera was actually the 77th ranked player out of high school in the entire country, and just a couple players ahead of Christian Robinson in center field, who was the 80th ranked player in the entire country.
Are you calling a fly out to center here?
It would just be poetic, wouldn't it?
Okay. 1-2, driven into right. It's going to Loperfido, and he's got it for out number 3. So it wasn't Robinson, but it's a fly out to right for Cabrera. And that finally ends the 9th inning of play. Harwich adds on 2 more. Cavadas highlights it with a solo home run. Tough day at the office for the Kettleers. Harwich leads at 9-1. Last call for Cotuit in the bottom of the 9th after this. Bottom of the 9th at Lowell Park. Closing time, the Kettleers are up against a new pitcher for Harwich. He's making his debut. Let's give a warm welcome to Devin Ortiz, a right-handed pitcher that also is a shortstop. He was activated a few days ago for the University of Virginia, 6'3", 200 pounds, a native of Irvington, New Jersey. And he's up against the middle portion of the Kettleer order here. It'll be Cody Pasek, then Adam Oviedo and Christian Robinson, 6, 7, and 8. 9-1 Harwich. Has been a tough day for Cotuit. Harwich added 2 more here in the 9th. And it's the final chance for the Kettleers to make some sort of fight back. Pasek from the left side, 0 for 2 today. Flew out to right in the 2nd, flew out to center in the 4th, and walked back in the 6th inning, rather. Ortiz, the right-hander on the mound. His first Cape League pitch fouled back into the parking lot. 0-1 on Pasek. 1 defensive sub for Harwich. At third base, Nico Cavadas comes out, and Riley Terrata comes in, former player that started off this season with the YD Red Sox. Fastball downstairs. 1 ball and 1 strike on Pasek. Next up for Cotuit, a home game against Wareham. Make sure that you join us on YouTube at 4:45 for our pregame show. Hear from our writing team of Ben Gainsborough and Will Kraus. Fly ball into deep center field. Should be playable out there, and it is for out number 1. Caleb Kaufman as well, and Josh Rothstein and Jacob Cohen will take you through all of the Kettleer news and happenings of the day. Breaking down a home game for you. That's on YouTube at Cotuit Kettleers at 4:45. Radio broadcast also begins at 4:50 on Mixler.com/Cotuit Broadcasting. We'll be on the road on Saturday, a 7 p.m. first pitch at Chatham. You can go old school and dial up the Kettleer radio call. 9-1 Harwich, 1 down with nobody aboard in the 9th, and here's Adam Oviedo working on an 0 for 3 day. Ortiz begins with a breaking pitch inside, 1 ball and no strikes. Oviedo in jeopardy of losing his 4-game hitting streak. Flew out to right field his last time up in the 6th. Kettleers about to drop their 4th game without a win. They tied on Monday, and it would be their 3rd loss in the last 4. Would make the Kettleers 4-4-2 and their last, or 3-6-2 rather, in their last 10 games. Definitely their most, I guess you would say, dark stretch of the season. It hasn't even been all that bad. Chopper on the left side, Tirada backs and then comes in, picks and fires for out number 2.
And so the story on Devin Ortiz, why he's just making his first appearance, he's actually from the Florida Gulf Coast League, where he was playing the entire summer, won the Player of the Year in that league. All he did was hit .542 in 103 plate appearances, and also had a 1.74 ERA in over 20 innings. So he tore up the Florida Gulf Coast League, and now he comes into the Cape to help Harwich make a last-second little push here into the playoffs.
Huh. Well done, my friend. Christian Robinson takes ball 1 on the inside corner. Kettleers down to their final out tonight. It's been all Harwich all the time at Lowell Park. 9-1. 2 away, nobody on for Robinson from the left side. He's 1 for 3 with a single in the 5th. 1-0. Breaking ball hammered on the ground. Foul on the first base side. 1 ball and 1 strike. Cotuit has struggled a little bit against the East Division. The Kettleers are 11-7 against the West, 6-8-3 against East opponents. 1-1 on the ground to second, scooped up by Acton, and Harwich wins it. A 1-2-3 inning by Devin Ortiz in his debut, and that puts a bow on a 9-1 win for Harwich over the Kettleers. We'll be right back in just a moment to wrap it up. This is Cotuit Kettleers Baseball on the Cape Cod Baseball Network.
That's just the way it is.
Welcome back to the broadcast booth here at Lowell Park. The Kettleers lose today, 9-1 against the Harwich Mariners, and we're here to wrap it up with you. Sam Niederman alongside Arm Layton. And, excuse me, Arm, almost caught a bug in my throat. Please, pardon me. I'm good now. Oh, my goodness. It's a post-game wrap. Kettleers lost it today, 9-1. I had a bug in my throat right there. And Cotuit had a bug at the plate. Once again, a struggle for the Kettleers. Only 1 run on 5 hits, and it was just tough sledding at the plate all day long.
Oh, it does get a little buggy here at Lowell Park once the sun sets, and unfortunately you were a fly trap there for a second. But as for the game, it's a tough one. 3 runs in their last 3 ball games, Sam. It's hard to win that way, and it's not like they've been pitching that well on the mound either. It's pretty much everything's been going bad. They did throw well yesterday. Today has been one of those games where they didn't really do anything right, and it's hard to really swallow that, but at the end of the day, it's one game. You got to turn the page and move on. Something weird about Harwich, man. We saw the last game that got rained out. It was 12-0. They come here, they lose 7-1 as we try to make it up. 19-1 if you really want to combine those two games. I know you don't want to, but it's something that you have to pay attention to, and it's weird. I guess Harwich has this team's number as of late.
Harwich evens up the season series with a win. It's now a 2-2 regular season series, and barring a meeting in the Cape League Championship Series, this will be the last time that the two teams get together in the 2019 summer. A couple of notables from the Kettleer lineup. Joey Loperfido, 1 for 4 today. Nick Gonzalez, 1 for 2 with a run scored and a couple of walks. Matt Mervis produced the only run of the day with an RBI ground out in the 8th. He wrapped up 1 for 4. Casey Schmidt went 1 for 4 with a double, and he doubled back in the 2nd to extend his on-base streak all the way up to 16 games on the season. Harwich's pitching was a big reason why they settled the score today and dominated. Connor McCullough started and tossed 5 scoreless innings, allowing 4 hits, walked 2, and struck out 3. Nick Zwack came in for the 6th, 7th, and 8th and pitched 3 innings, allowing 1 run on 1 hit, walking 1, and striking out 2. Then Devin Ortiz got the final 3 outs in the 8th inning. It was a 4-man staff day for Cotuit. It started with a little bit of an experiment, throwing Kyle Nicholas as the starter. He was on the hook for the loss, throwing 2 innings, allowing 4 runs on 3 hits, walking 2, and striking out 3. He did hit a batter as well. Evan Justice worked an inning and walked 2. Chris Farrell worked 4 innings, gave up 3 runs, 2 earned on 3 hits, walked 1, and struck out 3. And then Beck Way finished it up in cleanup duty. With 2 innings, he allowed 2 runs on 2 hits, walked 2, and struck out 3. If you're noticing a common theme, it was walks, and that was a big issue for the Kettleers today, with 7 of them as a staff on a total side.
Well, the big thing, too, is Harwich, comes into this game dead last pretty much in every offensive category. So what's a way to beat them? Make them hit the ball. Cotuit did not make them hit the ball. They gave them 3 free runs on wild pitches where they didn't even have to situational hit there. And then they ultimately walk a lot of batters and really did not make Harwich work for it, and that's why they won the ball game. Harwich does not put up a big number of runs, 131, that's 9th. But they put up a 9 spot today because the Kettleers basically handed it to them.
Harwich takes the ball game today, and life will go on for the Kettleers after a 9-1 loss. Next up for Cotuit, the Wareham Gatemen. It's at home tomorrow, a 5 p.m. first pitch. Next up for Harwich, the Whitey Red Sox at home. Harwich improves to 18-19 with the win. Cotuit now winless in their last 4 games. The Kettleers dropped to 17-16-4. Harwich 9 runs on 8 hits, no errors, and the Mariners left 10 on base. Cotuit 1 run on 5 hits and 2 errors. The Kettleers left 7 on base. Connor McCullough picks up the win. He improves to 2-0 on the year. Kyle Nicholas on the hook for the loss. He is now 1-1. The game took 2 hours and 49 minutes. So glad that you could join us tonight for our entire broadcast production crew. Our president, Andy Bonaker, our vice president, Paul Logan, our executive producer, Martha Johnston, intern supervisor, Don Lassier, and general manager, Bruce Murphy, our producer, Josh Rothstein, director, Jacob Cohen, our writing team of Will Krause and Ben Gainsborough, sports information director, Caleb Kaufman, and my partner, Aram Layton. I'm Sam Niederman saying good night from Cotuit. We'll talk to you mañana when the Wareham